Hello and welcome. This is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching. Wow, it's like starting an engine there. Yeah. 20 people again. All right. That's freaking great. Alright, anyways, there you go. Maybe I've only got 40 people here again. Man, this is getting really discouraging. Just. Anyways, I put out the Idaho video, not the Delphi day 4 today. You know, hardly anybody's even interested in watching that, but you know, I think it's pretty interesting. I actually listened to it while I was doing my all around here and on a walk, and you know, it's just, you know, you got to hear Betsy Blair. You know, all three of the different girls saying, you know, they all saw the same person, but they all described that person differently. I sure hope we don't have another night like last night, though. That was just really, you know, something else. Yeah, I guess that's right, Sandy, but I can't make it as a channel with just 47 people watching live streams. So that's why I say it. Yeah. So anyways, what I thought we'd do tonight is, I've wanted to do this for a while. I did something a long time ago that was sort of similar, but I don't think so. But I wanted to go back to like that first night, and then we've got all of the different advisories and whatnot, and then the press conferences and everything right up until the gag order. Because once the gag order came in, they gave no more anything. There was no more updates of any kind. That was on January 3rd. Yeah. Well, it's still going on. It's not over. So I've already got the audio for 5, 6, and 7. I think, unless I forgot to. Hold on. Oh, there it is. I actually have to do it before I forget. It's right there. Day 7. I was waiting. It takes a long time. Like 30 minutes. Alright, there we go. Awesome. I thought I did it. Oh, I guess it just repeats over and over again. Yeah, I thought the video I made today, it seemed like people liked it, you know. But we're doing another show right here, and we're currently, I'm trying to get back to some sort of normalcy where the channel is being supported by the people watching it on the live streams. And it seems like every show we do right now, we stay at 0 for a long time until I have to say something, you know. And then even when I say something nowadays, it doesn't help, you know. And you guys know what we do, you know. At the end of the month, we donate thousands of dollars, and that's the only way to make that happen. And I'm getting nervous about that, where we just absolutely have slowed down to a trickle, and don't know what to say or do. All right, so here is November 13th at 11:58. It's actually at well, the first one that came out was actually in the evening at 5:48. So this is at 5:48 in the evening. Yeah, and then there's another one at 6:10. But this is the very first thing that the Moscow Police Department put out. It said on November 13th, 2022 at 11:58, Moscow police responded to a call on King Road for an unconscious individual. Upon arrival, officers discovered 4 individuals who were deceased. The Moscow Police Department is asking any individuals who may have information to call the Moscow Police Department at, phone number there. This is ongoing investigation. Information will be updated as soon as next of kin is notified and we have information we can share. The Moscow Police Department gives our heartfelt condolences to family members, friends, and the Moscow community. Then another one that came out the same day. Upon arrival, officers discovered 4 individuals. The Moscow Police Department is asking any individuals who may have information to call. I mean, it looks almost exactly the same, but that was a different one later in the day. Then the next day, you got November 13th at 11:58 hours, Moscow Police Department officers responded to a call on King Road for an unconscious individual. Upon arrival, officers discovered 4 individuals who were deceased. These individuals have been identified as Ethan Chapin, 20, of Conway, Washington; Madison Mogan, 21, of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho; Xana Kernodle, 20, of Avondale, Arizona; and Kaylee Gonzalez of Rathdrum, Idaho. All 4 victims were students at the University of Idaho. Please respect the privacy of the victims' family, friends, and loved ones as the Moscow Police Department investigates this tragic event. The Moscow Police Department and the City of Moscow is deeply saddened for the families of these individuals, fellow students and friends, and our community during this time. Our heartfelt sympathies go out to each and every person affected by this incident. Hey, thanks, Gloria Butari. So you got that one. That was on the 14th. Then on the 14th, it says this is from Mayor. I'm deeply saddened by the events that occurred. Our hearts and thoughts are, just basic condolences. Our hearts and thoughts are with not only the victims and their families, but their broader circle of friends. This tragedy serves as a sobering reminder that senseless acts of violence can occur anywhere, at any time, and we are not immune from such events here in our community. Today we grieve for those who were lost and those they leave behind. Let us come together in support. That was the 14th. Then the 15th, we have, and this one is at 9:27 a.m. in the morning. So they responded to the call of an unconscious individual. Although no weapon has been located, based on primary information, investigators believe that an edged weapon, such as a knife, was used. Autopsies are scheduled to be completed, and they knew it was a K-bar knife because they had the sheath. Completed later this week and will hopefully provide more definitive information. Also, based on information from the preliminary investigation, investigators believe this was an isolated, targeted attack, and there is no imminent threat to the community at large. I mean, that's just the stupidest thing. I mean, that's as dumb as in the Delphi case when Tobe Lesenby said, "Oh no, everybody's fine." Well, how's everybody fine? I mean, it's not safe because the person who killed is not arrested. Let's see. Currently, there are no suspects in custody. Oh, wow, okay, so there's no imminent threat. I mean, I guess when you say imminent threat, right. And if they believe it was a targeted attack, then there aren't other people that are going to be targeted. But, until you arrest somebody, you can't really say that. Investigators are continuing to work diligently on establishing a timeline of relevant events to recreate the victim's activities on the evening of November 12th and early morning of November 13th, following all leads and identifying persons of interest. Currently, there are no suspects in custody. The Moscow Police Department is working closely with Idaho State Police, as well as other state and federal law enforcement partners in this case. Investigators are asking anyone with information about this incident to contact the Moscow Police Department. All right, that was on the 15th, and then that was at 9:27 in the morning, and at 7:32 at night. At this time, let's see, we want you to know that we, like you, have been devastated. See, they're responding to all the pressure people are putting on them. Like, where are you guys? At this time, we have shared every piece of information that we can without compromising the ongoing investigation. Really? First and foremost, we continue to be steadfastly committed to ensuring the safety of our community. We want answers and deeply desire to see this case solved. We are working closely with Idaho State Police investigators and with the Latah County Prosecutor's Office. We are utilizing many other resources within the law enforcement community to bring about a fast resolve to this incident. As soon as we have more information that we are able to share with the community, state, and nation, we will. This incident highlighted that violence is possible in our community and in every community. Until this case is completely resolved, we ask the community to continue to be vigilant, alert, report suspicious activity, and help us to be the eyes and ears in our community. Is this going to be one of those shows where you guys aren't typing? I hate when you type back. Oh, I'm listening. I mean, there's shows where I'm putting out interesting information, and you guys are talking about you're taking a dog on a walk with a leash. Oh yeah, my dog. Oh, it's so great. We got this. Oh, I've been sick for. You guys are just chatting away. So I'd rather have you do that than just nothing. So then that was the 15th, and then the next day on the 16th, they finally had a press conference. Now they've deleted all of there's a whole bunch of press conferences they had. I found I think I have some of them, but they really kind of, off their YouTube page, kind of scrubbed it. So here's the first one that they did.
My name is Chief James Fry with the Moscow Police Department. I'm going to be reading from my notes today because I want the information you received to be extremely accurate. We know you have questions, and so do we. That is why we're here. I'd like to thank everyone for attending this press conference. Joining me today is the Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson, University of Idaho President Scott Green, Provost and Vice President Tori Lawrence, University of Idaho Dean of Students Blaine Eccles, Latah County Sheriff Richie Skiles, Chief Deputy of Latah County Tim Best, Idaho.
I remember how they kept doing updates, and each update would have like they're clearing different people, you know?
State Police Colonel Kedrick Wills. The Moscow Police Department would like to extend our condolences to all family members, friends, the University of Idaho, and the Moscow community. This was a horrible crime that took the lives of Ethan Chapman, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Goncalves. This horrible crime has affected all of us, the families, the University of Idaho, our community, our country, and our officers. Agencies that are involved in this task force include Latah County Sheriff's Office, the Idaho State Police, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
I'm just going to move it forward.
There was no sign of forced entry into the residence.
Yeah, because the door was
Investigators
unlocked.
are continuing to collect evidence at the scene. Investigators are working to develop a timeline to relevant events. Autopsies are taking place today on all the victims so we can continue to gather evidence and solve the crime. Investigators are working to follow up on all leads and to identify a person of interest. Based on details at the scene, we believe this was an isolated, targeted attack on our victims. We do not have a suspect at this time, and that individual is still out there. We cannot say that there's no threat to the community, and as we have stated, please stay vigilant, report any suspicious activity, and be aware of your surroundings at all times. What we don't know, the identity and location of the suspect, the location of the knife or any clothing that was worn by the suspect. Currently, we have 25 plus investigators working this case, as well as assistance from the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Idaho State Police. We're reviewing video that has been collected, but we are asking citizens to contact us with any information you may have that will help in this investigation. Once again, we're asking anyone with it to call the tip line at 208-883-7.
Knowing that continue to provide resources from the Idaho State Police
Century, but questions.
Was the door, did it,
Hello.
thank you for having us.
Aaron Snell, if you'd raise your hand, Aaron, he will be the contact for justice.
All right, here's the questions. I want to hear the questions, how they were responding. That's something we keep hearing about. But
so
hey,
at this
guys,
time, I'm going to open it up to...
Guys, I really need your guys' support when we're doing these live streams. I can't, we're gonna end doing live streams at some point if we can't get the ball rolling again. I don't know what's happening. I don't know, but when I'm doing my live streams, my channel relies on the people watching to support it so that we can also, at the end of the month, do a lot of great things. And I see that dwindling away.
Some questions that I'm sure you have, and we'll do the best we can to answer those for you.
Hello, Chief Ray.
Hello.
Thank you for having us. I'm Amanda Rowley with Crime 2 News. You mentioned that there's an indication that it's an isolated, targeted incident, and there is an individual somewhere. Can you give us a reason as to why there's that belief there is a suspect?
Thanks, Allie.
Can you also give a little more information on the forced entry? There's no sign of forced entry, but was the door, did it seem like any of the entries were left unlocked by any means?
I'll answer the last part.
See, they know the answer to this question. Because in the book, I'm reading listening to the Patterson book. Hey, thanks, Joseph Brennan and Allie Cake. They talk about how the door was broken, and that's one of the things we've said. We go, yeah, it was either broken or he broke it, because when the cops got there, they had to use chairs to keep it locked. But it could have been Brian Kohberger broke it, but it seems more likely that the sliding glass door was just broken.
There, just because it's at the front end of my mind. We're not 100% sure if the door was unlocked, but there was no damage to anything, and the door was still open when we got there.
And my first question,
Yeah.
if you'd like me to read.
No, I think I haven't. In these cases, we take the totality of the things that we see, and they're very dynamic, right? And they're very big, and there's a lot of information, and we try to take that information, and some of it we can't share with you, correct? But we try to take that information, we try to make the best educated decision we can. We review that as a team with our detectives, along with our prosecutors, along with the university, and we try to make that best decision on that. So we, at that time, believe that there was no a threat, and our goal is to provide safety for this community. That's why we're bringing in the resources we're bringing. We want a close to this, and we want to do everything we can to let the people in our community know that we care. We want them to feel safe. We want them to be safe, and we're going to do everything we can to do that.
And if I could add one more question. You asked for videos or anything from the community to help put together that timeline. We obtained a copy of Twitch video, and family members of the Gonsalves family were able to identify Maddie and Kaylee in those videos at a food truck ordering food. Is the police department, our investigators, aware of that video, and has it helped put together that timeline?
We are aware of that video, and it has helped. It gives us a time and space where we know that two of our victims were, and that helps us a ton, and we'll continue to follow up all leads that we can and continue to gather those.
Any indication of a party at the home that night?
And this will be the last one, okay? I understand. Not that we know of, not at the home.
This guy sucks. I mean, what do you mean? That's just not even no relevance to, it doesn't even, just say, we don't think so.
We know that the other, let me get the names exactly right here. We know that Zana and Ethan were at a different party on campus. But that timeline will still help us if other people know about that.
Thank you.
Chief Wright, John Webb with KHQ. On September 12th, there was a vandal alert that was sent out about a potential stabbing threat on Paradise Path. Does this have any connection with what we've seen so far?
Not that we know of it, but we're following up every lead. Every piece of information we get, we are following up to ensure that nothing has gone unturned. We want to have the individual identified, who is the suspect of this eventually. So we are literally looking into every aspect of everything.
And you guys have said repeatedly that there's no threat to the public, but we don't know who the suspect is. We don't know where he's at. How is there no threat to the public at this point?
Well, that's kind of an unknown. Like I said, we took the information that we had at the time, but we do need to be aware the individual is still out there, right? We need to be vigilant. We need to watch out for our neighbors. We're a community policing community. We've said that for years, and it's a community that watches out for each other. We need to continue to do that until we can close this off and make an arrest.
Why has there been such limited information over the past couple of days? I mean, we're almost 4 days into this. Why has it been so limited?
Yeah, it's a difficult, we have a lot of information coming in, and we have tried to push out some information through press releases. But the reality is, I probably should have been standing here a day or so ago, but I'm here now. We're going to continue to be here. We're going to continue to give you the information we can. We care about this community. I care about this community. I've worked here for 27 years. I want this community to be the safest community around. So
the mayor's called it a crime of passion. Is there any indication that that's true?
We're looking into every aspect of this. I'm not going to stipulate whether it's one thing or another. We're going to continue to investigate until we have the facts, because really it's the facts that will drive what the cause of this is. And as we gather evidence, we'll get that. So. Okay.
One last question, if I could, Chief. Have we looked at any boyfriends or any ex-boyfriends, any spouses as a potential suspect?
I will tell you, we are looking at everyone. Every tip we get, every lead we get, there's no one that we're not going to talk to. There's no one we're not going to interview. There's no one that we're not going to look into. And we're going to do our due diligence. We're going to make sure that nothing goes unturned. Do everything we can with the assistance of all the resources we have to get a final answer.
Okay. Thanks, Chief Fry.
So there were, sorry, I'm Emma Epperly with the Spokes Interview. Hi. So there were other roommates who lived at that residence. Were the roommates home at the time of the attack?
There was other people home at that time, but we're not just focusing just on them. We're focusing on everybody that may be coming and going from that residence.
So since they were home, was it a hostage situation?
No, it was not.
What does that even mean?
And then
what an idiot.
They didn't call it into police, so were they injured?
They were not injured, but like I said, we're still following up with everybody that could have been in that area.
And how can you say it's a targeted attack if you don't have a suspect?
Like I said, we take the totality of the situation. We try to make the best bit of information we can with everything that comes in, and then we make our decision off of that. So at this time, I'm not going to expand upon that. But like I've said, we do have out somewhere, and we are looking for that individual to solve this.
Hi, Rachel Sun, Northwest Public Broadcasting. I just want to clarify something you said earlier. Over the past couple of days, the information that we've been getting is there's not a threat to the public. Then earlier I heard you say you can't be assured that there is no threat. I just want to clarify what your stance is on that at this time.
So we still believe it's a targeted attack, but the reality is there's still out there who committed 4 horrible crimes. So I think we got to go back to there is a threat out there still, possibly. We don't know. We don't believe it's going to be to anybody else, but we all have to be aware of our surroundings and make sure that we're watching out for each other.
Okay, and then one other follow-up. I know you said when the call came in, it was for an unconscious person, and also that was a stabbing. It seems, just from an outside perspective looking in, like that would be not the first thing a person calling in would think.
You're right. But the report that we got was that it was an unconscious individual. It wasn't until our officers arrived on scene, went in to do caregiving check on the individual who was unconscious, that we found the scene that we found.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Heather Roberts with ABC News. Just to follow up on what she asked, so the other 2 roommates were there at the time of the attack?
See, he didn't help out all those conspiracy theorists. I mean, he made it seem like it was weird, too. It's not weird at all. If you just know the narrative of, like, what actually happened, it's not weird at all that they said it was an unconscious person, because that's what Hunter told Dylan and them, before they did the 911 call. Okay, so they should have been able to sort of get this information right away and not be so stupid.
All the information that we have from our investigation is that yes, they were.
Okay, but they were unhurt.
That is correct.
So is there any explanation as to why it took so long then for someone to call 911? You have surviving witnesses to an incident at 3 or 4 in the morning, and the 911 call didn't come until noon?
I don't think I ever said that they were witnesses. I said they were there. So, we don't know why that call came in at noon and not in the middle of the night. Would have we loved for that to have happened? Yes, but that's not how it took place.
In hindsight, him correcting her on that should have told us that that's exactly what one of them was. Because he should have just let that go and move forward.
So that's why we're investigating everything still, to try to pull all the pieces together.
Were they one of the people? Were they the 911 caller?
At this point in time, I'm not going to divulge who our 911 caller is, just because I want to keep the integrity of the investigation at this point, okay?
Okay. And last question, are you able to tell whether the same weapon was used on all 4 victims?
That's why we're having the autopsies done. The autopsy will confirm that and hopefully collect some evidence for us, even from those. That's why you do the autopsies, is to try to be thorough and try to gather more. So we'll leave that would probably be something that would come out later.
Okay.
Excuse me, Derek Shub, Fox News Digital. Was there anything missing in the home, or were the purses still there? Any robbery attempt, anything like that?
Nothing that we have identified. And I'm going to take about 2 more questions, all right?
Hi, I'm Tim with the Daily Evergreen. I was just wondering, were the 2 other individuals present at the home when police responded at noon?
Yes.
Okay.
Chief, if you don't mind elaborating a bit more on those 2 people. Was it 2 people? What have those people shared about the circumstances of that night, what they saw or didn't see?
Well, I'm not going to go into what they shared that night. Obviously, that's part of our investigation. That's part of the information that we're trying to build our complete story with. So as far as that goes, we're not going to go any further into what they know and what they don't know.
How many were there?
We believe 2.
Chief, have you looked into the social media accounts of all the different victims? Do you
more on those 2 people? Was it 2 people? What have those people shared about the circumstances of that night, what they saw or didn't see?
Well, I'm not going to go into what they shared that night. Obviously, that's part of our investigation. That's part of the information that we're trying to build our complete story with. So as far as that goes, we're not going to go any further into what they know and what they don't know.
How many were there?
We believe 2.
We believe 2. Just say 2.
Have you looked into the social media accounts of all the different victims? Do you? We understand that one may have had an account linked to her Instagram account. Have you looked into those accounts? Have you seen any sort of threats made to any of the individuals?
So we are looking at all resources. We got, like I said, the Federal Bureau of Investigation helping us. We got our detectives, our forensic detectives looking into that. We're trying to pull this whole picture. We're looking at everything that we can look at, social media, etc. So to answer your question, yes, we are.
Were the victims all found in one part of the house?
I'm not going to divulge that either. That's part of our investigation. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and close this off. But if you have any questions for the university, we'll open that up at this point in time.
Who has not had a chance to ask a question? Yes, over here.
Me?
Here and then here.
Oh, thanks. Actually, I had a question for the chief, so I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm going to pass it.
Okay. What is the university doing to make their students feel safe?
Yeah, great question. At this time, I think I'll turn this over to Blaine, who's been dealing directly with our students and dealing with those that truly still feel unsafe despite some of the assurances and things that we're doing. Blaine?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the question. a question of safety is on everyone's mind right now. We have increased campus safety patrols. Our executive director of campus safety and security, Jake Nichols, is out of the way actually here, and so I'm sure he'd be able to answer some of those questions. We have a campus safety escort where students can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to arrange for a security escort to be escorted across campus during the day or night. It doesn't matter at any point in time. Ross, the family really, that's a question for a long.
Yeah, so forget that. And then let's see. Then on the 18th, they had another one. On behalf of the Latah County Coroner's Office, the City of Moscow Police Department is releasing the cause and manner of death for the homicides at 1122 King Street. It's King Road, actually. But let's see. Name, Ethan Chapin, 20, male. You know, just goes through every one of them, lists where they're from. And then down at the bottom it says, place of pronounced death, 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho. Cause of death, homicide, murder. Manner of death, stabbing. So they told everybody about that on November 18th. Hey, thanks so much, Kimmers. Oh, aloha, you freaks. What's the monetary goal for tonight? Well, it's always the same. I try to reach, if I can get to 250, then I donate 5 memberships myself. We haven't been able to get anywhere near there for 2 days straight, which was just sort of and that's the low end. Like we used to always do like 300, 400, 500, you know, and then lately people just, yeah, you know, it's sort of, I don't know, it's disheartening. It had a totally different atmosphere, and I'm just trying to do the same shows. I am going to do the, what do you call it, the Adelson. We'll go through that probable cause coming up here, Donna Adelson. I think that'd be an interesting one. I like that. I think that was an interesting one. There's also this new, case coming that's sort of just in the news right now of this guy that he said that his daughter got kidnapped in a van, but he had inconsistent statements, and then they found the body of the daughter, his daughter. Now, when you look at him, though, you just wouldn't picture that, you know. So that's something that's in the news right now. I just heard about it just prior to this. Hey, thanks, Jessica Schubach. But yeah, we're currently, now we're at $50.97, which is 1/5 of just what would normally have been sort of the low end of a typical night. Yeah. Yeah, I like the Morphew case. There's just nothing going on in the Morphew case right this second. Yeah. We've already gone over the new probable cause document, and once you do that, you pretty much got it all, and if there's no breaking any new information, then we don't have it. But the trial would be sweet. Yeah. But yeah, I've covered the Morphew case since the beginning. Right, so we got that. And then this is I got kind of interesting on this one. This is the same day, but later. Detectives working on the University of Idaho homicides are seeking additional tips. The following map details the night of November 12th into the early hours of November 13th with the locations and approximate times when Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan were in downtown Moscow, while Ethan Chapin and Xander Kernodle were at the Sigma Chi house. So they gave really specific information, and they want people, you know, if they saw anything. 145, Kaylee and Maddie at residence. It's you know what's weird to me is that they're inaccurate this far into it. Like, you're 5 days in, you should already know that they didn't get home at 1:45, that it was closer to 2. I mean, I think I even have it right over here. I mean, closer to, 2, right? So let's see. Yeah, so the private driver at 1:56, they're dropped off at that residence. 144 was they were still buying food, at the grub truck. So that's complete, just not accurate, Residence, their residence is 1122 King Road. Ethan and Xana get back home at 1:45. They're still kind of like the mystery. Like, we don't know exactly when they got home, especially if they didn't walk down King Road and then turn east onto Queen. They would have shown up on that camera. But if they'd walked through that little path there, there's a path that's right, let's see, where is that? Yeah, if you park right there, or, let's say they came from Sigma Chi, they could walk across and then go right through this little path right here. There's even steps that come up right here, and that's where the house was at the, well, it's right here, actually. That was the parking area. Yeah, so you can see it. That one was probably the best shot. So you park right there, you walk right up this, and it goes right there. So, from Sigma Chi, they probably wouldn't do... I mean, I don't know, I don't know why they wouldn't go this way. If they went that way, they'd know exactly what time, because I think the camera on 1112 King Road right here is it just constantly films. Alan McMahon says, "Oh, for sure, BK is innocent. No way he committed the homicides, despite the fact he confessed. Just saying, he's 100% not guilty." Yeah, he's just playing with you guys. All right. All right. So we're right there. Then I switched over to just using the link to the website that actually has the, instead of screen grabbing it, they could start getting kind of long here. Let's see, on the evening of November 12th, Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan were at a local bar, the Corner Club, Main Street in downtown Moscow between 10 o'clock and 10:30 on November 13th at approximately 1:40 a.m. Kaylee and Madison were seen on video at a local food vendor called The Grub Truck at 318 South Main Street. Investigators have determined that Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were seen at the Sigma Chi house on the University of Idaho campus at approximately 1:45, so they were still there. Ethan and Xana are believed to have returned to the residence at 1122 King Road. It was previously reported that Ethan resided at the home. However, it has been determined that he was only visiting. Yeah, so he was visiting Xana Kernodle. I don't know why. I just think it's sort of interesting to go back and see, the timing of everything. On November 13th at 11:58, officers responded to the residence after a 911 call reported an unconscious individual. Upon arrival, officers discovered Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan deceased inside the residence. Autopsies were conducted on November 17th. The Latah County coroner confirmed the identity of the 4 murdered individuals and their cause and manner of death as homicide by stabbing. The coroner stated that the 4 victims were likely asleep. Some had defensive wounds. Apparently, Xana's fingers were almost cut off. Yeah, I think it does make sense. I said it last night on my show, but I thought it was worthy to, referring to this comment right here. It makes sense with all the emotions. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I sort of brought it up last night. I just sort of said it, and then I went, well, I think maybe I'll make a video. But I think that's absolutely exactly how it went down. I think that's why, I thought she was just a lazy, like just milking the system and lazy. And maybe she wasn't lazy. Maybe, but I have said this. I've said about Ann Taylor, Why the hell would anybody want to take time looking at hours and hours and hours of surveillance footage when you know your client is the killer? Right? I mean, you're just sort of going to be, I mean, we are people that want to prove him guilty. Like, let's try to find more information that proves what the police are saying, right? Now, the Kohbergers, that's probably why there's missing footage on some of this shit, because they just like to hide, I don't know, it makes them look bad. Like, they're trying to protect the killer so they don't look into the actual factual elements. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Oh, really? His brother, who's one that drove the Jeep there? Oh, interesting. Yeah, they probably walked over there. As I was just saying. Let's see. Yeah, and his brother, the Jeep was held too. Yeah, anyways, I just think that she just absolutely didn't have, I mean, I looked this thing up before the show started. Where do I have it? Where did I put that? Yeah, right here. Hey, thanks a lot. Alan McMahon. The legendary Kohberger scout. He's not a, or whatever you call him. He's not a Kohberger. He tracks the Kohbergers. All right. I guess a perfect word. You're the Kohberger scout. So what I did was I looked this up right here. Thank you. It says, yes, I asked if a defense attorney knows without a doubt their client committed the crime, do they still defend them? And it said, yes, a defense attorney can and ethically must continue to represent a client, even if they know the client committed the crime. The attorney's role to ensure the client receives a fair trial and that the prosecution proves their case beyond a reasonable doubt, regardless of the client's actual guilt or innocence. And here's why. Innocent until proven guilty. The fundamental principle of the justice system is that a person is presumed innocent until proven guilty. The attorney's job is to hold the prosecution to this standard. Blah, blah, blah. Goes through all the rest of it. But yeah, I mean, see, that's just the whole thing. I think that's exactly what Ann Taylor was doing in this one. She was just doing what she's supposed to do, but early on she knew Brian Kohberger was the killer. He had no doubt at all. So she said all these things out there like, oh yeah, I actually believe he's factually innocent. And that was while she was trying to get the DNA information thrown out, but she had no chance of doing that. And then, I think once she sat down and was given all the different files and whatnot, and her people that work with her like, oh, look at this. Oh, geez. Look at this one. Oh, boy. Look at this one. Oh, geez. There's got to be a point where she said, oh, man, he did this. And she said, Brian, this doesn't look good, man. You know how it went. I mean, I'm just saying. And she tried to get him to confess, get him to accept a deal like a long time ago. I bet you back in 2023 at some point. And he just wouldn't do it. He just kept wanting. I'd love to have heard those conversations. Yeah. Anyways, right here it says, autopsies were conducted on November 17th. The Latah County coroner confirmed the identity of the 4 murdered individuals and their cause and manner of death as homicide by stabbing. The coroner stated that the 4 victims were likely asleep, some had defensive wounds, and each was stabbed multiple times. Yeah, I mean, I guess Ethan was only stabbed twice. At this time in the investigation, detectives do not believe the 2 surviving roommates or the male in the grub truck surveillance video are involved in the crime. See that? Shouldn't that right there have been enough to keep the trolls off of those people. But no, I mean, it got worse for them after that. Additionally, online reports of the victims being tied and gagged are not accurate. Well, that's sort of interesting because recently that's what Steve Gonzalez was saying on the Ashley Banfield show. But I don't think anybody was gagged, like the term gagged. I think, maybe he put Kohberger put his hands in her mouth and pressed down, or did something with maybe the non-sharp end of the knife in there. Who the hell knows, but I really doubt he took the time gagging somebody. Yeah, it doesn't even make any sense. Hey, thanks, Shamo524. And just a second ago, when I said somebody, they went, "Oh, God, did you hear Gray said somebody, not Kohberger? When he said somebody." Whew, you know how people are. Thanks, Shamo. Let's see. Additionally, online reports of the victims being tied and gagged are not accurate. The identity of the 911 caller has not been released. Well, the 911 caller was Bethany, but you know what? You guys should have released that because you let them go through hell. Who cares who made the call? Just say one of the roommates made the call. That's all you had to say. You guys knew that information. It came from their phone, and it was her voice. And then not only that, the second person on the phone was Dylan. So both the roommates living there are the ones that made the 911 call. And they made the 911 call based on what Hunter told them, because Hunter is the only one that went in and saw that they were actually not alive. But he goes, "Oh yeah, they're unconscious." He didn't want to freak them out. He goes, "Look how freaked out they were, anyways." And so they told the operator, "Oh yeah, they were. There's a girl that's passed out." I'd be absolutely shocked if he brought a gag, and I think that's ludicrous. Yeah, there's no way. Yeah. I mean, I guess if it was just Maddie, like you're saying, I just think that I don't know. I think he was there to kill Maddie. He was just going to kill her quietly with no ruckus or any sound at all. Just kill. Get out of there, perhaps leave the sheath as a calling card, don't know. Something like that. But yeah, I mean, I guess it, anything's possible, Maybe the thing he was carrying was a sleeping bag and he was gonna. Right. As part of the investigation, detectives seized the contents of 3 dumpsters on King Road to locate possible evidence. Additionally, what about the one on Linda Lane? Did you get that one? The guy, he threw the knife in there. I mean, they should have got this stuff out of that dumpster. At the time of this release, detectives have received nearly 500 tips. Moscow has 4 detectives, 24 patrol officers, 5 support staff. The FBI has 22 investigators in Moscow. I mean, that's crazy. And 20 assigned agents. I think the FBI is the one who gave Dateline their inside information. And 2 behavior analysis unit. I mean, that's wild. Look at that. 42 FBI agents. I don't know. Idaho State Police, 20 investigators, 15 troopers. So altogether, I mean, look at this. That's just a ridiculous amount of people. Currently, there are no suspects in custody. All right. And this was on the 18th. Right. And there was another one on the 18th. Let's see. So already, this part's the same. On the evening of November 12th, you know, Kaylee, and then it says, investigators have determined that Ethan Chapin and Xander Kernodler were seen at the Sigma Chi. Two other roommates were at the residence that night. On November 13th at 11:58, officers responded to a 911 call, reported an unconscious individual. Upon arrival, officers discovered Kaylee, Madison, Xander, and Ethan deceased. Autopsy were conducted. They all died of multiple stab wounds. At this time, the investigation detectives do not believe the two surviving roommates or the male grub truck surveillance video are involved in the crime. The male that's in the video. And then additionally, online reports of the victims being tied and gagged are not accurate. The identity of the 911 caller has not been released. As part of the investigation, detectives seized the contents of 3 dumpsters on King Road to locate possible evidence. Additionally, detectives have contacted local businesses to determine if a fixed blade knife has been recently purchased. Yeah, so that was like the, how would you know it was a fixed blade knife? And by the way, the term K-bar made it into the public. Let's see, where do I have that? I looked it up. That's not going to be there. It's at the other end. Hold on. All right, so 11:15 edge weapon mentioned in NBC article. Yeah, we read that in that. And then right here it says on the 16th, K-bar knife was mentioned in the papers. And so we're right now on the 18th. So they had already mentioned to somebody a fixed blade knife, and you know, it got out there that it was a K-bar knife. So that was the 16th. So that would make, you know, Papa Rogers, you know, using common sense, could have come up with the, that's a, oh, they must have the sheath, because how would you know it was a K-bar fixed blade knife if unless you had the sheath for it, because it could have been any number of fixed blade knives. Oh yeah, what is it on Netflix, Lisa? He's a interesting one to me. Ed Kemper is one of the more interesting ones. But come on, Gray, it's all a setup against the most unlucky guy in the universe. Don't you understand? BK was set up. Come on, Gray. I'm not watching you anymore. Ooh. I think I can just do that now. That my I can't believe you had Gray on again, Vinny. I'm never watching again. There it is, right there. See? Yeah. But hey, guys, if you're out there watching and you can help support the Grant Hughes Investigates YouTube channel, let's say no to lulls. You know, we're out there with these massive lulls where it's hard to get momentum going. Why do you have Gray on your show, Vinny? Is that what the term is? I think it is something like that. Oh, yeah. Woo! That's awesome. It is glad. The best part is like you're laugh. You know what's weird is you're laughing in the background, but I always laugh every time I hear it too at the exact same time. I think it's just sort of. I think it's just sort of the sarcastic cry that comes out. It's just so ridiculous, you know. Yeah, so K-bar was in the news on the 16th. That's only 3 days after. And remember how they were looking around? I remember that. Oh yeah, and then this is right around on the 18th, 11/18. I guess there's audio.
Who called 911 and make the group? He told me that Wrinkle, former LAPD detective. Only when I door. Another mystery where showing they
wounds.
Oh, here it is.
Describing the murders as personal.
Were they found in beds?
Yes. There were multiple.
Well, yeah, 3 of them were found in beds.
Stab wounds. The fatal ones were to the chest area or the upper body area.
Meaning like the neck.
Yeah.
The father of Xana Kernodle says her wounds show she fought for her life.
Bruises, maybe hurt by the knife or whatever. She's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I have that whole coroner report. She looked really uncomfortable in that thing. Yeah. Where was it? Where is it playing, Lisa? I did a whole special. I did a whole show series on Ed Kemper. Or it might have just been one night, but it was like all these different articles. I know, but where is it playing? I mean, I asked where it was played, not the name of it. Hey, thanks, Kimmers. And Dixie Hippie. Say no to lulz, everybody. Say no to lulz. This would be nice to get to being able to gift the 5 again. It's been a while. Right. I don't think anybody would ever confess and plead guilty and not allow them to ever have a chance really to appeal. That's the one element that should make every pro-burger go, yeah, no, he wouldn't have accepted no appeals if he didn't do it. So which one are we on here? Oh yeah, so it was that one, and then this one's on the 20th. The Moscow Police Department is providing the following information to update the public on the known facts surrounding the 4 murders that occurred on November 13th in Moscow, Idaho. Detectives are releasing that on the morning of November 13th. Okay, let's see how my little reader reads it. Hold on. If I go like that. Oh yeah. Wow, that's a lot of crap. Let's see.
November 20th, 2022, Moscow, Idaho. The Moscow Police Department is providing the following information to update the public on the known facts surrounding the 4 murders that occurred on November 13th in Moscow, Idaho. Updated information. Detectives are releasing that on the morning of November 13th, the surviving roommates summoned friends to the residence because they believed one of the second-floor victims had passed out and was not waking up. At 11:58 a.m., a 911 call requested aid for an unconscious person. The call originated from inside the residence on one of the surviving roommates' cell phone. Multiple people talked with the 911 dispatcher before a Moscow police officer arrived at the location. Officers entered the residence and found the 4 victims on the 2nd and 3rd floors. At this time in the investigation,
yeah, see there, it says multiple people.
Detectives do not believe any individual at the residence, when 911 was called, is involved in this crime. Rumors and speculation continue circulating about the ongoing investigation. MPD cautions the public not to rely on rumors and remains committed to keeping the public informed. We urge reliance.
Yeah, except you guys are absolutely responsible for the rumor mill happening. Don't you guys think it's disturbing how they haven't said, hey, the 911 call came in from the roommates that live there, the survivors, came from one of their phones, and both of them talked first, and then other people got on the phone too. I mean, that would have just, there's nothing hard to do about that. It doesn't give away anything. But they just let that, and even Fry added to it by saying stuff like, yeah, it is kind of weird. Like, why didn't they call and all this kind of stuff? And it's just garbage, But hey, guys, if you're out there and you can help support the channel tonight, that would be awesome.
It's on official channels for accurate information. Tips. Detectives are looking for context to the events and people involved in these murders. Anyone who observed notable behavior, has video surveillance, or can provide relevant information is asked to call the tip line at 2088837180 or email tipline@ci.moscow.id.us. Press releases. All press releases go through the listserv process on the City of Moscow website. To sign up for news releases, visit bit.ly/3i0ngzlunder. Tools on the right side of the page, click Notify Me. Fill out the form at the top with your email address and/or phone number. Scroll down to City of Moscow Press.
Okay, I don't even know. The rest of it's just repeated stuff. So let's see, we got that one. Was that this one? Yeah. And then another one the same day. I'm not sure why they have a second one. Maybe they updated some errors. Looks the same now. And then those are on the 21st. And then also on the 21st we have this.
So my name is Stacy Chapin.
It only comes out of one side.
I thought I could do this. Today we're here to honor the life and legacy of our son and brother, Ethan Chapin, one of the most incredible people you'll ever know. Together we want to extend gratitude to the following. Our neighbors in Mount Vernon and LaConner, Washington, and the local communities of Priest Lake and Moscow, Idaho, for their ongoing support and care. Our extended family and friends who serve as beacons of strength and remain by our side throughout every moment. The Moscow Police Department, who now carry the burden every day, not only for us, but for all of the impacted families. And the many strangers across the country, your outreach and kind words are profoundly touching. Please know we now consider all of you friends. And lastly, we thank the media for keeping this story top of mind. Thank you.
Oh, there you go. You know, I think it's pretty. I think it's pretty selfless how the. They're like. We're okay with the deal because we need to focus on our other two surviving kids. Don't you think? I mean, I don't know if that's the right word. I guess it's just kind of like. You put aside your wanting vengeance for your own child to support the two remaining children because you know that by you supporting the vengeance and going for it for all these years, it's going to take away from what they may have been able to become. You know what I mean? I think that sort of makes sense. Even though I would be more like Steve Gonzalez myself. I know. What? It's on Amazon? Okay. It's just called The Ed Kemper? Or is it called Ed Kemper? Hey, thanks, Ashley Jägermeister. One day I'll be able to give more for the work you do. Do you think BK will speak at sentencing? You know what? If Kohberger, how angry would you be as a parent if Kohberger turned to you and said, "Hey, I'm sorry." I mean, what? Sorry, what do you mean? You went in there. It isn't like it was a drunk driver, or some other kind of accidental something or other. You went on a date, something happened, what? Who the hell knows? I mean, this is a psycho killer who went in there, I mean, what do you think? If you were one of the parents, would you accept that? Now, this is on the 22nd. I don't know if when you say, do you think he'll speak? I don't know. I'm nervous. I'll tell you what I am nervous about is when Steve Gonzalez gets up there. I don't know how he's going to control himself. You know? I mean, he's going to get up there and he's going to start thinking about Kaylee and how he doesn't feel like justice is there. You know? And I think everybody would feel the same way. You're a sheriff, Michelle H? Like a sheriff of where? That's pretty cool. And you still watch my show. That's pretty sweet. I mean, I've got sheriffs watching my show. Of course, I got to make it plural. It's like when you catch a 12-inch trout. By the time you get home, it's 20 inches, you know. On November 22nd, 2022 at 5:30, the Moscow Police Department is providing the following information. Resource web page. A new web page on the City of Moscow website has been set up. Let's see if that's still there. Ah, it's gone now. They put all these things in there. They're still there. They're just in the historical. Investigators have looked extensively into information they received about Kaylee Gonzalez having a stalker. They have pursued hundreds of pieces of information related to the topic and have not been able to verify or identify a stalker. If you have information that you can help detectives, please contact them. Weapon. There has been much conversation about the terminology used to describe the weapon. The type of knife thought to be used in the attacks is believed to be fixed blade knife. Detectives continue to look for the weapon. So somebody leaked that it was a K-bar sheath because it was already out there. So over here they're trying to backtrack. They don't want the killer to know that. I wonder if that did affect him. You know, Kohberger, you know, if Papa Rogers was like, oh wow, they already know it's a K-bar, I better, you know, maybe that's good because then he tried to buy another one. You know, because now I guess if you leave the sheath there, it's obvious that you're going to know it's a K-bar knife, though, right? It's not like, so he'd be calling, you know, trying to buy something on Amazon anyways. Thank you, Mr. McKeeshel. Mr. McKeeshel. Mr. McKeeshel? I bet you if I said it fast, it says bad word or something. I don't know. Like somebody with the name Jack, middle initial N, last name. Never mind. There will be a news conference to update the public on the investigation on Wednesday, November 23rd. Okay, I have that one. We encourage our community to rely on official. They had so infrequent press conferences. Bizarre. There were a few, though, that you can't find anymore, but All right, well, here's that. Well, so that's the next thing up.
Good afternoon. I'm Captain Roger Lanier with the Moscow Police Department. I want to assure you, first off, that the loss of Xana, Kaylee, Madison...
Hey, maybe you guys can get some channel memberships for people if you don't want to send in the super chats. We only got 6 of them again. All right. Trying to reach the goal. We're only at 40% tonight.
And Ethan remains the highest priority for the Moscow Police Department. We will continue putting all of our resources into investigating and solving these murders.
And I mean gift memberships to people.
Investigators are prepared to work through the Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah, I watched Oppenheimer. How does Oppenheimer have to do with this case?
I also want to express our sincere appreciation to the Idaho State Police, the FBI, University of Idaho, and the Latah County Sheriff's Office for their assistance. And I especially want to thank the community of Moscow for their outpouring of support through this incredibly difficult time. Today I'm going to recap in brief what we know. I'm going to provide some new information, and I'm going to address some rumors. On the evening of November 12th and into the early morning hours.
So this is the press conference, I think, that cleared everybody. Like even, Kaylee's boyfriend. See, they left him hanging in the wind for a long time. And, even when the Gonzalez were being interviewed, they tried to defend him. But at the same time, he, and, as we've learned, Steve Gonzalez checked his arms when he came over and visited because he had to do it. Right? So, and what made him interesting was that they tried to call him, Kaylee and Madison tried to call him, around 2:45, let's just say around that time. I have it over here on the, let's see. Yeah, Kaylee calls Jack for the 6th time. So right around 2:30-ish is when they started, I think. It's right there, 2:26. Kaylee begins calling boyfriend Jack. All right, and then she ends up calling him for the 6th time at 2:44. And then Madison calls in that same minute. She probably went, "He's not answering. Can you call?" Boom, and then called right away. So it's the same time, 2:44. And then Madison calls Jack a 3rd time. So then it was just Madison calling Jack, and he didn't answer, and that was at 2:52. And then 2:52, Kaylee calls Jack for the final time, and then right after that, Madison calls Bethany. So I wonder if Bethany actually answered the phone, and what was that call about? Was that her saying, "Hey, can you try calling Jack too?" Except there's no record of her calling Jack. So probably didn't, so maybe that was about something else, we just don't know.
Of November 13th, Kaylee and Madison arrived home at approximately 1:45 a.m. after visiting a local bar and a...
Wait, we're just in mod mode right now. Look at this in the chat. It's crazy.
Street food vendor. Ethan and Xana were also out in the community at Sigma Chi.
Sigma Chi. Come on, guy. Look. Hello, Timothy Cecil. Hello, Michelle H. Hello, Allie Cake. Michelle H. Again, Linda Howell is in Linda Molden Howe. The Cattle Mutilations and Crop Circle. Hello, Zozo. She's on the show. Stew Pot. Allie Cake. Benane. There you go. Missy 6, I guess, is up there. We say howdy here. I'm just saying, everybody's a mod that's typing "we say howdy" here. You see that? It was like 20 comments and only 1 or 2 wasn't one.
And they arrived home at approximately 1:45 a.m. 2 surviving roommates who were also out in the community arrived home at approximately 1 a.m. Later, on the morning of November 13th at 11:58 a.m., a 911 call was placed. The call reported an unconscious person.
Yeah, see, couldn't they have cleared this up by now? The call reported an unconscious person. None of these guys have intellectual curiosity before this to have already be able to say, at 12:58, a 911 call was made by one of the roommates, one of the surviving roommates. Additionally, the other roommate was on the phone as well, and then other people started chiming in on the call. They reported it as an unconscious person, because one of, I guess that would make it, then you'd say one of the friends went up and saw, and then said, you know, and they go, hey, maybe that friend did something, you know, so. I don't know. I mean, I guess you know what you do? You just leave out the unconscious person part. It's just such a meaningless, they never needed to put that in there.
The call originated from inside the residence, and a surviving roommate's cell phone was used. During that call, the dispatcher spoke to...
All right, we're on a massive lull again, so if anybody's out there, if you could help support the channel tonight, we're still languishing below, or right around 40% yet again.
Multiple people who were on scene. Moscow police officers responded and found 2 victims, 2 on the 2nd floor and 2 on the 3rd floor of 1122 King Road. The results of autopsies indicated that the 4 were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds, and there was no sign.
Wouldn't that be crazy? Like, nobody noticed, but this guy, like, a guy that shows up to the side is Kohberger.
Of sexual assault. We do not believe the following individuals were involved.
Oh, here we go.
The 2 surviving roommates.
Okay.
The male seen in a grub truck
Jack
video
Showalter.
Circulating on the internet.
The
private party who drove Kaylee and Madison home. Any of the individuals who spoke to the dispatcher on the 911 call. We're also aware of a male whom Madison and Kaylee had called several times the morning of November 13th, and we do not suspect that individual.
Okay, so they're aware of him. That's when they finally cleared Jack DeCoeur, Kaylee's boyfriend. I mean, it took them, or ex-boyfriend, or whatever you want to call them. But that means it took them 10 days to do that. That's crazy, you know.
Detectives have canvassed the neighborhoods looking for evidence.
Hey, by the way, thanks to Christine Bud Gray for the coffee, and also to Judy from Australia coffee, and then Lisa Valenzuela.
Physical evidence, video surveillance, and they've contacted numerous residents to see if anybody may have seen or heard anything. They continue requesting tips that can be sent to our tip line or called in to our tip line. The specific areas that we're interested in are detailed on maps on our city website and our Facebook page, but as stated earlier, generally south of Taylor Avenue to Palouse River Drive, and the area west of US 95 over to the Arboretum. We have heard mention that Kaylee stated she may have had a stalker. Detectives have been looking into that, and to this point have been unable to corroborate the statement, although we continue to seek information.
I think they found somebody that followed her out from a store at one point, and I think they just determined, you know, like he was just going to ask her out or something, but he didn't.
And tips regarding that report. No suspects have been named or arrested, and we continue looking for what we believe to be a fixed blade knife used in the murders. We have not released the names of any of the subjects who spoke on the 911 call, and we have not released the call itself.
Yeah, but why not just at least say that the roommates were on the 911 call? You guys knew that that was causing them problems.
Any online reports of the victims being tied and gagged are not accurate. Regarding the resources that we've put forth in this investigation, the Moscow Police Department has 4 detectives, 24 patrol officers, and 5 support staff dedicated to this investigation. The FBI has 22 investigators in Moscow and 20 additional agents assigned in various locations, as well as 2 members of the Behavioral Analysis Unit. The Idaho State Police has 20 investigators, a public information team, a forensic services and crime scene team, and 15 uniformed troopers who have been valuable in helping provide
thanks, Michelle H.
Community patrols and safety patrols. We very much appreciate their support. This is our highest priority. It will remain our highest priority. We owe that to the families. At this time, I would like to introduce Colonel Kedrick Wills from the Idaho State Police.
So we would like to open it up to any questions, but I would like to ask if there's an Argonaut reporter here that would like to ask. And then second after that...
why does it need to be an Argonaut?
An Evergreen reporter, if there's one in the room. So let's start with the Argonaut, please.
Do you know if the girls liked ice cream, Chief? Those are the kind of questions you get from some of these people.
James Torman Aldrich with the Argonaut. I have two questions, if that's all right. Firstly being what the police presence is going to look like after Thanksgiving break and how long that's going to last.
So I'll go ahead and answer. The police presence is going to be very heavy after the break. We have Idaho State Patrol that will also still be in the area, and you'll see a high impact of patrol officers and troopers, as well as Latah County Sheriff's Department personnel in the area.
And then secondly, will there be any possibility of the release of the 911 phone call, even in transcript form?
Not at this time. That's part of our investigation.
But also, do you guys think there's anything in that 911 call that needed to be hidden from anybody? I mean, now that we know about the 911 call, what in there is something that, like, would have hurt the investigation if anybody heard it? I mean, it's just ridiculous to me. Think about that. Just in your mind, can you think of anything? Anybody? But by the way, how do we get the, we need to get the support up for tonight to just try to get back on track. We had 2 days in a row that were just horrendous. We're still currently at just like 45% again. I don't know, they give crowns with points, like if you send in super chats you get higher points, etc. But anyways, can somebody, I'm trying to ask you guys questions. Do you guys think that there's anything in that 911 call that couldn't have been released at the very beginning? I think it was just absolutely nothing in there that needed to be hidden and we didn't get to know. What do you mean, what just happened to Gray's camera? I go, it's right here. Hello. I mean, maybe it moved. I don't know. It does have a little gimbal on it. Oh boy.
Frankie Beer, the Daily Evergreen. I guess the Moscow PD press release mentioned looking into hundreds of pieces of information about Kaylee's potential stalker. I was wondering what led you to believe she did have a stalker possibly, and why those pieces of information haven't come up with conclusive results.
I'm actually going to let Captain Lanier answer this question, okay?
Thank you, Chief. We obtained information through some of our interviews that Kaylee had made some comments about a stalker, so that's where that came from. We have followed up looking at specific time frames in specific areas of town. So far we have not been able to corroborate it, but we're not done looking into that piece of information. Thank you.
I don't know.
Dan Springer, Fox News. If I can get Captain Lanier. Sir, why not tell the public who the target was? You've said that this was a targeted attack. Why not tell the public who was targeted? If it was multiple people, it would go a long ways to telling the public what you're looking for and who you're looking for, the type of person you're looking for. Why not do that to alleviate some of the fears out there in the community?
Well, first and foremost, we have the integrity of the investigation to preserve. And we feel like that information is integral
I mean,
to
yeah,
us
that part's
and how we conduct our investigation.
valuable.
Releasing that to the public may or may not flood us with a lot of information that's not relevant or specific to what we're looking at. So want more information from the public? We do want more information, but we don't want to put our investigation in jeopardy by releasing what we have. There's always a balance between what you're willing to release versus what you're trying to gather. We told the public very clearly from the beginning that we're looking for a knife. We've told the public very clearly from the beginning that we believe it was a targeted attack. I mean, to be honest, you're going to have to trust us on that at this point, because we're not going to release why we think that.
Lauren Patterson, Northwest Public Broadcasting. I see that the FBI set up a special web page just to collect digital information. I'm also curious if any of the investigators can speak to this. Curious if the Wi-Fi hotspot has been tapped at all. It's possible if the suspect had their phone on them, it may have pinged off the Wi-Fi in the residence. Has that been checked on at all?
As I stated, our investigation is looking at every avenue of every piece of evidence that we can. The FBI has given us a website for any downloads of video or anything, so we ask people, if you have any of that, to send it to us, please.
Thank you. Natasha Chen, CNN. I have a couple of questions here. One, in many homicide cases, the first hours, the first days are so incredibly crucial. Now that we're moving into a window that's further and further away from the incident, does that concern you about the ability to arrest a suspect, or do you have information that you simply can't share with us that makes you confident that you're close to solving this?
I'm going to have the Colonel step up and address that, please.
Well, thank you for the question, and I would like to address it a little more globally than specifically. A little more globally here. Yesterday, as time goes on, I mean, we're time past the initial calls for service and the initial crime. However, we also, as time goes on, are able to process the forensics evidence, any forensics evidence that we may have collected, and so that helps us. And we're also able to process the tips that continue to come in, which may help us. And so, while time in one respect is not beneficial, in another respect it is, because it helps provide us with that whole picture with all of the information that we're gathering, whether it's evidence or tips or any other information that we're gathering. It may help us to provide a clearer picture, and so it may help answer those questions that we're seeking as well.
Hi, Angela Palermo, Idaho Statesman. I was wondering if there's any evidence that suggests the attacker visited the first floor where the two surviving roommates were.
That information will not be released at this time. It's part of our investigation, and as we stated,
I was wondering if there's any evidence that suggests the attacker visited the first floor where the two surviving roommates were.
That information will not be released at this time.
Yeah, she didn't have any, I mean, well, I guess everybody knows that, like, he was on the second and third floor. First floor is where Bethany Funk lived, but I think maybe at the time people didn't realize that Dylan Mortensen was on the second floor, just below the Madison Mogen's room.
It's part of our investigation, and as we stated earlier, there's many things that are involved in an investigation that we will release and things we won't.
I mean, I'm trying to look at it like after the fact.
Good afternoon, Ashley Soriano, Fox News.
See, we know a lot of the facts now, so when you listen to this, you sort of listen to it, and now you can see, like, well, what, like, why the hell did you keep the 911 call from people? And what other things are like that?
I have two questions. Have you considered the possibility of a murder-suicide? Is that something that you guys are considering right now?
Please say no.
That question has been asked previously, not at a press conference. It's certainly something that we looked at in the early part of the investigation. It is not something that we're looking at this time.
And I know some of the investigators' vehicles and
Well, I
police
hope you only looked at
vehicles
it
are
for
coming
2
in and out
seconds.
of the driveway. Do you think that potentially could disturb any tire marks or other evidence?
Yeah, so the question has been asked
There's no
about why
knife.
did the crime scene tape expand, and that's not uncommon. When the first officers arrived, they tried to cordon off what they thought was important. We immediately expanded that when the investigators got there to process the scene. And logically, as this progresses, and you've seen this through our press releases, we have expanded it to several areas of the city and have in fact canvassed entire neighborhoods. So we try very, very hard to uncover every single bit of evidence possible in an area before we move on to the next area. So yes, we've looked at everything that we think we need to look at in and around the crime scene at this point.
But do you believe that cars coming back and forth in the driveway, potentially like tire marks or foot marks, that there could have been?
Well, it's a gravel parking area, so it would be hard to say that.
How are you folks holding up? How are your detectives and officers holding up? And Chief, you mentioned that detectives are prepared to work tomorrow on Thanksgiving, so is the expectation that they will be?
That is correct. We're going to have many detectives and agents working all the way through this incident. Our people are dedicated. Our people care about this community. Our people want to ensure the community that we're here to bring safety and we're here to get a resolve on this. So we will continue to push through. We'll give people time off as they need it, and we will continue to take care of them. But we're gonna keep pushing on this until we come to a conclusion.
Chris Mitchell, KLEW. Is there any plans to increase security for the Apple Cup on Friday?
All right, you guys, we're having a massive lull in here. But if you're watching the show, my channel relies on you guys to make it. And currently we are at 45%. We've been still sitting at 45% for another 30 minutes. So if you guys have the ability to help support the channel, that would be awesome. I do this because at the end of the month, my channel is one of the few channels that actually gives away thousands of dollars to various true crime related charities. And then there has to be an income that allows my channel to survive and pay for everything. So that's how we do it. And we've given $251,000 out since January of 2020, and a DNA fund that we've put over $100,000 in, and a scholarship fund that we still need to fund for this year. All right. So if you can help in some way out there, we got the super chats, the membership gifting, all those different things. All right, so I'm asking if you guys will help support the channel, and I would appreciate it.
Well, I can't speak to what's going on in the state of Washington. I can only speak to what we're doing here on the campus of the University of Idaho in concert with President Green and his team. We are absolutely, with the Idaho State Police and the Moscow Police Department, we are 100% dedicated to making sure that this continues to be a safe place for students to do what students need to do. And so that's why we have so many uniformed troopers here that aren't necessarily assisting with the investigation, but rather here to help with the campus security. And President Green and his team have been fantastic in helping to strike that balance to make sure that we have law enforcement resources here. So while I can't speak what's going on anywhere else, I can tell you at the University of Idaho we have a lot of state troopers, a severe increase of state troopers and Moscow police officers here, both on campus as well as throughout the community.
John Gabell, ABC News. Are investigators looking at any possible connection to an unsolved double stabbing in the Salem, Oregon area about 1.5 years ago? Specifically, 2 people stabbed in their home in the middle of the night. Long knife, no suspect at this point. One died, one survived.
Yeah, so now it doesn't make any sense at all because Kohberger wasn't around, but they didn't know Kohberger at the time.
I think we're looking at every avenue, and we have other agencies reaching out to us with other cases and stuff that we are doing follow-up on, and we will continue to follow up on those.
Are you aware of that case?
I actually had a tip come in on that case, and I forwarded it to our tip line.
Okay, one more question. Can you confirm the bodies have been released to the families or are being so released today?
I believe they have been released to the family, and I know that I believe one of them has already had a funeral.
I think they did a longer one because it's right before Thanksgiving.
Destiny Martin with the LCSC Pathfinder. Can you lend any insights into the possibility that the murder weapon is linked to the ROTC program? And also you mentioned that the analysis unit is here. Will we be able to hear anything from them about a working profile they possibly have? And on that note, have you guys ruled out the possibility that the killer might be a female?
So we look at every avenue. We're looking at every group of people. Like I said early in our first press conference, we're not going to let any stone go unturned. I believe can you just clarify your second portion of that question? Oh, the BAU, sorry.
Yes, I would like to know if the BAU has a working profile because, you look at victimology. Sure. Are you able to tell us who was killed first on the time of death so that we may understand, like, who was, if it was a targeted attack, it would make the most sense if they killed one of the roommates first and then maybe the other two, I'm not, sure. This is not speculation, I'm getting off topic. My question is are you guys looking at a working profile? Have they come up with anything new?
That part she was kind of close on there.
Regarding the motive or intentions of the killer or killers.
The BAU unit is working diligently to do what they do. Will that be provided? I'm sure that may be provided once the conclusion of this case comes together. But they are continually taking in information and reading reports and gathering information for that.
Good afternoon, Chief. Amanda Rowley with Crime 2. Seeing some speculation with some of the cars being searched this past week. Wondering if you can squash some of the rumors and that speculation. Is there anything you can share specifically on the white car out front, and then a follow-up for the university after?
So I'll have Captain Lanier go ahead and come up with that.
Thank you.
Well, we have looked at a lot of different vehicles. I'm assuming you're referring to the vehicles that were in the parking lot at the time. Yeah, so some of those vehicles belonged to the victims and some belonged to other people in the house. And so for us, that's part of the crime scene. As I mentioned earlier, the crime scene was expanded out through the parking lot. So we wanted to make sure that we looked at those prior to releasing the crime scene. It was part of the initial investigation that night.
Thank you. And for the university, is there any additional information at this time that you can offer about the candlelight vigil, maybe what we can expect from that, and then any other information you can provide about that ask of the community to light the night on November 30th?
Thank you for that. I'm going to turn this over to Blaine Eccles at this point. He's actually planning the whole event, so we appreciate it.
Good afternoon. I'm Blaine Eccles, Dean of Students.
All right, I don't want to listen to that guy. All right. So then later on the 23rd, I think that's just basically the exact same thing he just said. Yeah, well, why is it like that, Lisa? I mean, I just don't know, man. That's what it feels like, Timothy. That's exactly what it feels like. But like tonight, it's been one of those nights where I haven't said a word. And it just died. People quit helping support the channel, and when I mention it, it almost feels like people just go, "Well, screw that, man. He asked for the support, so now forget it." I don't know. It's just sort of a weird feeling that I've had lately on here. So anyways, this one is on November 25th. The Moscow Police Department is providing the following information to update the police on the known facts surrounding the 4 murders that occurred on November 13th in Moscow, Idaho. There have been numerous media inquiries about a 1999 double stabbing in Pullman, Washington, and the 2021 stabbing with 1 death in Salem, Oregon. While these cases share similarities with the King Road homicides, there does not appear to be any evidence to support the cases are related. Community members have uploaded over 260 digital media submissions to the FBI link. To date, 13 pieces of physical evidence have been collected and sent to the Idaho State Police Crime Lab for processing. So 113, I mean. They're looking for, that's when they're looking for DNA. Governor Brad Little has desired up to $1 million in state emergency funds for the ongoing investigation. The University of Idaho hosting a candlelight vigil. The University of Idaho has established a Vandal Family Support Resource page for their students. Let's see. The updated information here is, I'll have ChatGPT read this. The rumor, just to right there. Here we go.
Updated investigation. On the evening of November 12th, Kaylee Goncalves and Madison Mogan were at a local bar called Corner Club at 202 N Main Street in downtown Moscow between 10 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. On November 13th, at approximately 1:40 a.m., Kaylee and Madison were seen on video at a local food vendor called the Grub Truck at 318 S Main Street and used a private party for a ride home from downtown to arrive at their 1122 King Road residence around 1:56 a.m. Arrival time has been updated based on digital evidence collected by investigators. Investigators have determined that Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were seen at the Sigma Chi House on the University of Idaho campus at 735 Nays Purse Drive. At approximately 1:45 a.m., Ethan and Xana are believed to have returned to the residence at 1122 King Road. It was previously reported that Ethan resided at the home, however, it has been determined that he was only visiting. Detectives believe that on November 12th, the two surviving roommates had also been out in the Moscow community, separately, but returned home by 1 a.m. on November 13th. The two did not wake up until later that morning. On November 13th, the surviving roommates summoned friends to the residence because they believed one of the second-floor victims had passed out and was not waking up. At 11:58 a.m., a 911 call requested aid for an unconscious person. The call was made from one of the surviving roommates' cell phones inside the residence. Multiple people talked with the 911 dispatcher before Moscow police arrived at the location.
Hey, look at that, look at that. So they did say that, I remember that. Just came out, and it still kept going on and on and on. See, right here it says, at 11:58, a 911 call requested aid for an unconscious person. The call was made from one of the surviving roommates' cell phones. But people must have missed that, because they just kept going and going. Multiple people talked with the 911 call dispatcher before Moscow police arrived on location.
Officers entered the residence and found 2 victims on the second floor and 2 victims on the third floor. Autopsies were conducted on November 17th. The Latah County coroner confirmed the identity of the 4 murdered individuals and their cause and manner of death as homicide by stabbing. The coroner stated the 4 victims were likely asleep, some had defensive wounds, and each was stabbed multiple times. There was no sign of sexual assault. Detectives are seeking all outside surveillance video taken from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. on Sunday, November 13th, from businesses and residences within the geographical area listed below. Detectives request all available videos, whether there appears to be motion and content or not. West Taylor Ave, North Boundary West Palouse River Dr. South Boundary Highway 95 South to the 2700 block of Highway 95S, East Boundary Arboretum and Botanical Garden West Boundary. Detectives are also seeking additional tips and surveillance video of any unusual behavior on the night of November 12th into the early hours of November 13th while Kaylee and Madison were in downtown Moscow and while Ethan and Xana were at the Sigma Chi house. Anyone who observed unusual behavior near these areas or has video surveillance is asked to submit their tips. Investigators have looked extensively into information received about Kaylee having a stalker. They have pursued hundreds of pieces of information related to this topic but have not verified or identified a stalker. Anyone with information about a potential stalker or unusual instances is asked to contact the tip line. At this time in the investigation, detectives do not believe the following are involved in this crime. 2 surviving roommates, male in the Grub Truck surveillance video private party driver who took Kaylee and Madison home on November 13th, the male. Kaylee and Madison called numerous times during the early morning hours of November 13th, or any individual at the residence when 911 was called. Additional information related to the investigation. Currently, no suspects are in custody and no weapon has been located. On the night of the incident, officers located a dog at the residence. The dog was unharmed, turned over to animal services, and later released to a responsible party. Local businesses were contacted to determine if a fixed blade knife had been recently purchased. Detectives seized the contents of 3 dumpsters on King Road to locate possible evidence. Gov. Brad Little directed up to $1 million in state emergency funds for the ongoing investigation. During the investigation, 113 pieces of physical evidence collected and taken to the ISP Crime Lab. Approximately 4,000 crime scene photos.
Yeah, well, my channel always had people supporting the channel regardless of what we covered. You know, but lately, since everybody, it's like this it's like an amoeba of, you know, whatever, you know, is deemed popular, everybody has to keep covering that one because nobody's going to watch the other one. You know, just like my Delphi trial videos in the daytime, I get like 50 people watching them because everybody's moved on off of that, even though it should be interesting, because now we're actually getting to hear what was said. All right, but yeah, I'm sure everybody's channel would have done pretty well, especially one like mine who has all the 3D models and things like that. That would have been pretty cool. So we're just kind of now waiting to get information to put out there, but that's just kind of how it works. You know, I mean, as soon as there's updates, we'll be able to put it out there. But I really do need your guys' support on these channels, like tonight. You know, multiple times I've said, hey, if you could help support the channel, that'd be great. And we're just still seeing it really be sluggish at best with, you know, and that's kind of why. See, that's the problem. You guys are the reason that we have to keep covering the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Because I tell you what, if right now I was talking about Stephen Stearns even, we'd have like 60 people in here. And that's just the way it is. It's crazy. But anyways, I'm going to be going over the Donna Adelson probable cause coming up here probably in the next couple days. I mean, tomorrow we might try to stream the Stephen Stearns plea hearing. All right, we'll try to check that out. Yeah, could be. I don't know. Let's see, where are we at? Oh yeah, we were still playing this.
Photographs taken developed multiple three-dimensional scans. Of the residences, forensic science scientists and technicians worked hundreds of hours over 260 digital media submissions by community members to the FBI link. Rumor control. The identity of the 911 caller has not been released. There have been numerous media inquiries about a 1999 double stabbing in Pullman, Washington, and the 2021 double stabbing with one death in Salem, Oregon. While these cases share similarities with the King Street homicides, there does not appear to be any evidence to support the cases or related detectives are aware of a Latah County Sheriff's Office incident of the report of a skinned dog, but do not believe there is any evidence to support it is related to this incident. Contact Latah County Sheriff's Office for further details. Detectives are also aware of a Moscow police incident of the report of deceased animals left on a resident's property. This was determined to be wildlife activity and not related to the murders. Online reports of the victims being tied and gagged are not accurate. The Moscow Police
Yeah. So, I mean, people are still talking about the dog incident. If you can believe that. Like somehow Kohberger in the middle of the night would go over and skin dogs because he was just learning to be a sociopath. Boy, he just had this quick evolution. You know, I don't think that's any connection to him at all. This is the 27th. We understand there is a sense of fear within our community. Since November 13th, the department has received 78 calls for unusual circumstances and 36 requests to check the welfare. Hey, thanks, Sandy Shirley. Yeah, I always feel bad. It's always the same people supporting the channel. But I appreciate you guys doing that. It's just, you know, I'm really kind of, it's always been like this. If I create a video that's on a different case, the same, everybody just doesn't watch it. It gets like 1,000 views, and the ad revenue on that's like about $8, and so there's just no way to survive. And so I sort of rely on the live streams for the people to support, but you know, when I make the videos on Idaho 4, I might make $50 to $75 on those, and that makes up sometimes the difference You know, unless I get really lucky, like my animation video, that one did a lot better than other ones. Anyways, as officers respond to these incidents, they find that concerned parties call friends and family before notifying the police. For life safety and emergencies, we want to remind our community to call 911. The University of Idaho is hosting a candlelight vigil for Wednesday, November 30th to honor the memory of Ethan, Xana, Madison, and Kaylee. That's the thing that they had. There was like security there. At this time, no suspect has been identified. That'll be the repeat there. So that's the 27th. So keep in mind, we're getting close to, like, now we're on the 28th, another press release. There have been media questions regarding a February 2022 death on Baker Street. The Latah County Coroner's Office has confirmed the death was due to an overdose. Right. And as we know now, Kohberger wasn't even anywhere around there in February. He was in between buying the balaclava and yeah, I know it's not going to go forever. I'm just trying to find something that I find interesting. You know, but there's going to be information that's going to be coming out, you know, and there's still the sentencing hearing, and then the floodgates open on information, and I think I'll be able to put it out there. Yeah, I'm sure you do, Jay. You haven't made a comment all night, and all of a sudden, wow, you agree. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. I mean, not one comment from Jay the entire evening, and you come in there and you agree with something. That's pretty funny. Let's see. There have been online reports of a red Mustang on South Deacon Street being processed as part of the murder. I remember that. That's weird. This information is not accurate, and the vehicle is not connected to the incident. Detectives are looking for context to the event that people involved in these murders. To assist with the ongoing investigation, any odd or out of the ordinary events. So they're just completely clueless at this time. Right here. Right here. All right. So then that was the 28th. And then the 29th, that's the day that they'd already been tracking this Elantra. And I don't think it shows up in here, but that's when they put out a bolo on it. So it says the Moscow Police Department is providing the following information to update the public on the known facts surrounding the 4 murders that occurred on November 13th, Moscow, Idaho. Today, as part of the ongoing homicide investigation and original search warrant, detectives relocated 5 vehicles from within the police perimeter to a more secure long-term storage. So those are the vehicles that were... So who drove the other vehicle there? Was that like Emily or something? Detectives are looking for context to the events and people involved. So send in a tip. At this time, no suspect has been identified. That's all. This is just going to be the same. And then, let's see, that was the 29th. Then the 30th. There have been media questions. I guess we can just, it's really just right here.
November 30th, 2022, Moscow, Idaho. The Moscow Police Department is providing the following information.
Right here it says, conflicting information has been released over the last 24 hours. Latah County Prosecutor's Office stated the suspect specifically looked at this residence. He did say that. That's in that book, actually. And that 1 or more of the occupants were undoubtedly targeted. And that was, Bill Thompson said that. We have spoken with Latah County Prosecutor's Office and identified this was a miscommunication, which it absolutely wasn't. Well, it was a miscommunication. He wasn't supposed to put that out there, but it was absolutely true, wasn't it? You know, that specifically looked at this residence and that one or more of the occupants was undoubtedly targeted. See that? That's crazy. What are you talking about, Klepto? 248,000 what? I don't know what that means. Oh, no, are you kidding me? We've donated 251,000, yeah. See, here comes the trolls, everybody. I'm not sure where the mods are. Usually, you know, you guys used to always get on top of these guys, but you seem to, like I read them for 10 minutes as they go up the screen. Not sure why. I mean, just block that person, okay? They're a complete idiot. Ah, jeez, here we go, here we go. What would make you allow somebody to stay on the channel after they made those comments? I'll do it. All right. 248,000. Where'd you come up with a number like that? What does that mean? I would love to make that much money. I mean, you guys are nuts. You wacko trolls from the social media. And if I made 248,000, that would allow me to. I would probably be donating like close to 100. I mean, that would be amazing. At this time, there's no change or new information. Regarding the interview with Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson, we feel his responses were messaged to support the implication that new information had been released. Specifically, generalized statements regarding the potential of targeted victims and the involvement of drugs were redefined into an affirmative answer. So they're actually kind of going after him. Ah, jeez, Zozo. Yeah, it's just, that guy was obviously a troll. That's the amount the channel has donated since. No, I've donated. The channel's donated 251,000, not 248. Yeah. Seems like you always do that, like almost intentionally. It's wild. Let me get rid of that. Get rid of that one and move over to here. The Moscow Police Department is providing the following information to update the public on the known facts surrounding the 4 murders that occurred on November 13th. Actually, it was the 25th when they did the bolo. The 30th is when I was in the bot. What bot? Yeah, but then they started asking, how much do you make and everything, over and over and over again. That's just ridiculous, you know. That's over a 5-year period. You don't think you're on? Maybe I'm not either. Oh, maybe things are missing if, if you don't get put on there. I mean, do you think it's normal for somebody to ask, wow, you've donated 251,000? How much do you make? Like right in the middle of a live stream? I mean, maybe they're not a troll, but, you know, it's just bizarre. And then that Jay guy up there hadn't said a word all night. Right. I'll unblock the klepto person. I mean, just because if that was in a bot message, then that means they were just talking about that. Yeah, I know, Sandy. I know, Sandy. I just explained it. I saw what Zozo said. You don't need to re-explain it again. I'm talking about the other comments. Man, there's a whole bunch of comments that are missing. If you don't have on the live chat. Yeah, maybe you lost track of the sheath. I don't know. But your next comments were, don't you think those are kind of rude when you say, how much do you make? I've never made more than that, even close to that, in a year on YouTube. All right, so I try to donate like 33% of the gross income. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm just totally, the whole chat's confusing to me tonight. So sorry if I'm misreading shit. I don't have any idea. Some of it, though, I know I'm not misreading. You know? Did somebody just, I think I just got an email of the same question or something. Or, let me see. Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know where that came from. No idea. Oh well. Didn't see it. Right. So now they're talking about it again. Man, they must have this in battling. You know, I mean, look at this part here. These people are, they're like, now they're going to clarify it some more here. Let's see.
There have been media questions about a September 12, 2022 incident regarding an argument between a group of people walking on the University of Idaho bike path and a cyclist. It was reported that during the confrontation, the cyclist displayed a folding knife. Both parties dispersed, and there were no injuries. The cyclist turned himself in to the police. The case was investigated and misdemeanor charges were referred to the Moscow City Attorney's Office. There is no connection with the individual involved in this incident and the current murder investigations. Regarding the interview with Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson, we feel his responses were messaged to support the implication that new information had been released. Specifically, generalized statements regarding the potential of targeted victims and the involvement of drugs were redefined into an affirmative answer. At this time, there is no change or new information in this case, and references otherwise would be inaccurate. We ask the public to refer to the Moscow Police Department website for any updates on the investigation.
Yeah, so on the 25th, that's when the Ebola went out. I think the 29th, God, now I've got to go back over to here again. Yeah, so the 29th, Officer Daniel Tango and Curtis Whitman, they found it, the Elantra. Or, you know, Kohberger's Elantra. So it's interesting, you know, the juxtaposition of these press conferences, or whatever you want to call these releases. So there's one on the 30th and 12/1. Anything in this one? I'm just going to do these bullets here because those are the only thing that are going to be new.
Detectives are aware of a sixth person listed on the lease at the residence, but do not believe that individual was present during the incident. Idaho State Police Forensic Services crime lab scientists have worked on this case for weeks and have provided testing and analysis results to detectives. As they complete additional tests, those results will also be provided. To protect the investigation's integrity, specific results will not be released. We remain consistent in our belief.
Does anybody know what date it was where they got the DNA sample? You know, like when they got the, when they got a DNA off of the knife sheath, what date that was?
Belief that this was a targeted attack, but investigators have not concluded if the target was the residents or if it was the occupants. We continue receiving inquiries about comments made by Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson, who said the suspects specifically looked at the victim's residence and that one or more of the occupants were undoubtedly targeted. The Moscow Police Department is the only provider of official information regarding this case. Tips: detectives are looking for context to the event.
So what they are is they're sort of pissed off that he said that. So now they're not confirming or denying it. They're just saying if it's only valid if we say it. Man, Bill Thompson, yeah, he blew it back then, too. This is on the 2nd.
Detectives are aware of a sixth person listed on the lease at the residence. They have spoken to this individual and confirmed they moved out prior to the start of the school year and was not present at the time of the incident. Detectives do not believe this person has any involvement in the murders.
I think she just transferred the lease over to those other roommates.
Extensive media interest regarding an incident at Taylor Avenue and Banfield on November 13, 2022 at 3:01 a.m. This incident was an alcohol offense which was addressed by the on-scene officer. This call is not related to the murder investigations. For further details regarding this incident, a Moscow Police Department public records request can be submitted referencing incident number 22 to Mo 9896. We remain consistent in our belief that this was a targeted attack, but investigators have not concluded if the target was the residents or if it was the occupants.
Well, you know what it is.
December 3, 2022, Moscow, Idaho. The Moscow Police Department is providing the following information to update the public on the known facts surrounding the 4 murders that occurred on November 13th in Moscow, Idaho. Updated information. Throughout the investigation, detectives have collected the following: over 2,645 emails through tipline at ci.moscow.id.us, more than 2,770 calls to the tip line at 20888377180, over 1,084 digital media submissions to the FBI link, 113 pieces of physical evidence, approximately 4,000 crime scene photographs, multiple 3-dimensional scans of the residence. At this time, no suspect has been identified and only vetted information that does not hinder the investigation will be released to the public. There is speculation, without factual backing, stoking community fears and spreading false information. We encourage referencing official releases for accurate information and updated progress. Tips: detectives are looking for context to the events and people involved in these murders. To assist with the ongoing investigation, any odd or out-of-the-ordinary events that took place should be reported. Our focus is the investigation, not the activities. Your information, whether you believe it is significant or not, might be the piece of the puzzle that helps investigators solve these murders. Information can be submitted. Tip line 208883718.
Yeah, so the timeline is going to be the same. All right, let's see. Then the 5th. So right now, like, you know, the FBI is already working on genetic genealogy at this point. Okay, let's see what these bullet points are. And I keep looking into the stalker. There may have been numerous requests about the dog found in the residence. On the morning arriving, officers entered the residence and found the deceased victims. During the search of the home, a dog was found in a room where the crimes had not been committed. That's the only, well, that's going to be Kaylee Gonzalez's room. Officers did not find any evidence on the dog, and there was no indication the animal had entered the crime scene. The dog was taken to animal services and released to a responsible person who, that's actually Jack DeCoeur, because that was their dog that they shared together.
There have been statements and speculation.
Wait, hold on. What's it say down there? While the dog was in the house when officers arrived, it has not been determined where the dog was physically located when the murders took place. Alright, so did somebody go upstairs? It doesn't sound like Hunter went upstairs. None of those guys did. So you'd have to go upstairs to... I mean, again, but it's like, what difference does it make? You know, so it's like you spend time thinking about it.
There have been statements and speculation about this case, victim injuries, cause of death, evidence collection and processing, and investigative techniques. With the active criminal investigation, law enforcement has not released additional facts to the family or the public. We recognize the frustration this causes, and that speculation proliferates in the absence of facts. However, we firmly believe speculation and unvetted information is a disservice to the victims, their families, and our community. The Moscow Police Department is committed to providing information whenever possible, but not at the expense of compromising the investigation and prosecution. Detectives continue investigating what occurred from approximately 9 p.m. on November 12th to 1:45 a.m. On November 13th, when Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were believed to be at the Sigma Chi House on the University of Idaho campus at 735 Naspers Drive, any interactions, contacts, direction, and method of travel, or anything abnormal could add context to what occurred. Detectives continue processing.
Yeah, so it's weird that they're now wondering about. I mean, I remember that weird shift back to Ethan and Xana. Like, why are you guys talking about that?
And working through more than 2,645 emailed tips, 2,770 phone tips, and 1,084 digital media submissions. We believe someone has information that will add context to the picture investigators are creating of what occurred that evening. Our focus is the investigation, not the activities. Your information, whether you believe it is significant or not, might be one of the puzzle pieces that help solve these murders. Using tips and leads, investigators...
Okay, yeah. We get it. Alright, then on 12/6... So at this point, law enforcement must be... They already know that this genealogy is going on. What was the date where he was identified? I know that's out there, some of this stuff. I'd like to put that in there. Moscow Police Chief Fry, along with members of the department, will collect and remove some of the victim's personal belongings. That's on the 7th. Anyone near the residence Wednesday morning is asked to keep roads clear. Movement of the items will be done as privately as possible. The house remains an active crime scene. A video review of media use and public viewing of Moscow Police Chief James Fry is available on the department YouTube page. Detectives continue processing and working through more than 2,645 email tips. Then we've got the 7th. Okay, so now let's see. I think this is the Elantra now. This is finally when Elantra was mentioned, and this is on 12/7.
Detectives are interested in speaking with the occupants of a white 2011-2013 Hyundai Elantra with an unknown license plate. Tips and leads have led investigators to look for additional information about a vehicle being in the immediate area of the King Street residence during the early morning hours of November 13th.
See, that's why that book is wrong in there, because they said in the book that the FBI had already determined that it was a 2015 or 14 to 16 as well, when those two officers found the vehicle on the campus in Pullman. But that's not true, because even in this press release, they're still talking about a 2011 to 2013. But hey guys, we're having one of those lulls again, so if you're out there, if you could please help support the channel, that would be fantastic.
Investigators believe the occupants of this vehicle may have critical information to share regarding this case. If you know of or own a vehicle matching this description, or know of anyone who may have been driving this vehicle on the days preceding or the day of the murders, please forward that information to the tip line.
That's kind of a, you know, I mean, apparently everybody has 2.5 of those things. Yeah, it's all going to be at Elantras.
December 8th, 2022. Moscow, Idaho. Due to the volume of calls with tips and leads coming in about the request for information about a white 2011-2013 Hyundai Elantra, the tip line is now directed to an FBI call center.
Yeah, of course it helped, Lil D. I said thank you and everything. I'm talking about we're still way short again. We're just like 58%.
The global call center has the resources to take those calls, categorize them, and send them on to investigators so they can utilize those tips in the investigation. Please be aware that this new call process takes patience on behalf of the caller, and there are some prompts to follow. Remember, your tip may be the key to solving this case. Watch an interview with Moscow Police Chief James Fry released today for media and public use on the Moscow Police YouTube channel. As previously reported, detectives are interested in speaking with the occupants of a white 2011-2013 Hyundai Elantra with an unknown license plate. Tips and leads have led investigators to look for additional information about a vehicle being in the immediate area of the King Street residence during the early morning hours of November 13th. Investigators believe the occupants of this vehicle...
Well, you had the Ridge Road camera, you had 1320 Linda Lane, 1330 Linda Lane, and 1112 King Road. There's just so few people with cameras.
vehicle may have critical information to share regarding this case. If you know of or own a vehicle matching this description, or know of anyone who may have been driving this vehicle on the days preceding or the day of the murders, please forward that information.
Yeah, so at this point, they've already had pretty much probably collected all that surveillance, and they see it, and they already have the timing of it. They know that it's significant because it parked outside behind the residence, you know, around 4:08 and drove away at a high rate of speed at 4:20, and right inside that time frame is when the murders happened. So they're absolutely certain that the Elantra is related to the homicide. Z. And then on the 9th, there was like this interview with Fry.
We'll start with the white car. How many tips are... We'll start with the white car. How many tips are coming in, and how are police using them?
We've had an amazing amount of tips come in on the white car. We appreciate everybody's help that has been sending in those tips, and investigators are vetting those, and they're following up on those, and the response has been very great.
Yeah, I've got
appreciate
that
all the
already.
help from across the nation and
right
our
there.
community.
In some cases, we're hearing that people are borderline being harassed by speculation and rumors out there.
I know. I got all that, Lolo. I don't need that information.
Well, what we want people to know
I asked when
that individuals who are being
I want to know when they determined, what date was it they determined that Brian Kohberger, like when did the FBI come up with that date?
asked in this situation. People need to be
I mean,
careful
not the
because
date, his
some
name.
of it's happening online, some of it's happening through phone calls and in person, and people could be charged possibly in the future if it continues to a point where it reaches a criminal element.
No, you can comment. I just said I already got
What can people do
the.
to help that situation?
I'm looking for the date that
I think number one, just call us
they
anytime there's any
determined
of that happening so that we can deal with that.
You know, even after I explain it, you always get the little negative Nancy follow-up comments. All I was saying was, I've already got that information. That wasn't what I was asking for. What I was asking for was, what was the date that the FBI determined that Brian Kohberger, that's where their, the genetic genealogy led to Brian Kohberger, and they told the cops about it. No, that's not what I asked.
Immediately.
And what about
It's okay though, Lola, but you don't have to
what is being
respond
done to make sure the
so
information that
negatively
is out
like
there
that.
is not causing speculation and rumors?
There's been a lot of speculation and rumors, and what we want to say is we are the official source of information. We want people to pay attention to what we're putting out there, because that is accurate information.
Right, but it was accurate what Bill Thompson said, as we know now. You just didn't want that out there. I thought it was like the December 15th. That's kind of what I remember. Anyone engaging in threats and harassment, whether in person, online, or otherwise, needs to understand that they could be subjecting themselves to criminal charges. Moscow Police Department cautions the public not to rely on rumors and remains committed to keeping the public informed. Update on the white Elantra. Investigators would like to thank the community and public for recent information provided about the vehicle. Well, when you say the vehicle, I mean, that's kind of... And the spike in tips. The FBI is prioritizing the vetting those tips. And then on the 10th, we got this one. Is anybody here? It's just sort of like nobody's commenting again.
So many people in town.
So
what's happening as far as public safety during this time?
This is a very important weekend for the university. It's our commencement weekend, and we're going to have a lot of officers around. We're going to have a lot of Idaho State Police around. You'll see us both at the commencement as well as just around town providing safety.
Okay. And then this one is December 10th. Just kind of goes over, how many people are working on it. Look at that, 46 investigators for the FBI. That's crazy. And 12/12. No, I didn't ask that. Zozo. I didn't ask that. That's not what I asked.
Good morning. My name is Roger Lanier. I'm a captain with the Moscow Police
I
Department.
didn't ask that question. I asked, when did they make a match to Brian Kohberger in the genetic genealogy is what I'm referring to. Okay.
I'm in charge of the operations division. And today is December 12th, Monday, and I want to give you an update on the King Road homicide investigations, at least the information that we have to this point. Over the weekend, investigators still continued to sort through numerous tips, calls, and online tips in regard to this investigation. There's been a lot of questions about the white car that we've been interested in. We're looking for that car because we believe through our investigation that that car was in the area during the time of the murders, and we also believe that the occupant or occupants may have seen something. They may not know they have seen something. So we specifically want to talk to them, and we want to know who they are and what they might know or might be able to contribute to the investigation. Over the weekend...
I mean, it's also possible I didn't word it. It was too broad. Like if I said, hey, yeah, when did the FBI make the match of, you know, the knife sheath DNA to Kohberger? Well, that was that what it is, December 19th? That sounds about right. And then that's when they started following him. Because that's the FBI. It was the, I think, Idaho had to, they swabbed him, and then they're the ones that compared it to CODIS, I would imagine. Okay, so that's on the 19th, all right. And he was fired on that same date. How crazy is that, huh? Ah, shit. Let's see, 12, 19, 22... IGG by FBI. Let's see. Identified Kohberger as a tip. Something like that. All right. Thank you for that. Looks stoned. Now that's the 27th is the date that they collected the... I've got it right here. 27th, Pennsylvania police recovered trash from Kohberger's residence. And then it said, and a DNA sample was determined to be Brian Kohberger's. Right. That's different than what I'm saying. I'm talking about investigative genetic genealogy by the FBI. That was on the 19th. Right? Yeah.
Investigators have sorted through and prioritized numerous tips. Some are tips that came in earlier and we've been working on. Other tips are new and are relevant. It's overwhelming sometimes with the amount of information that comes in on these tips.
I just explained what I wanted to know like 20 seconds ago. I said, what I wanted to know was, when did the FBI identify Brian Kohberger with the DNA? That's IGG. It's different. They came up with a tip of his name with his name because they identified him through IGG, and then the actual, you know, court legal identification was around like the 27th when Kohberger's. Well, no, because they arrested him on the 30th. The 27th is only when they got the trash from, let's see, hold on. Yeah, right. So on the 27th, they got trash from Kohberger's dad's garbage can. It was the Kohberger's dad's garbage can. You know, the house. And it was the DNA that they got on the 27th was the biological father of the contributor to the DNA on the knife sheath. Then on the 30th, after they arrested Kohberger, they took a swab, and then, maybe not that day, but shortly after that, they were able to compare his DNA to the DNA on the knife sheath as well, and it was a 1-to-1 match. I just wanted to know, maybe I didn't word it very well. Definitely possible. I just wanted to know when the FBI determined that the DNA was Brian Kohberger.
So our analysts have spent hours sorting through and trying to come up with the most relevant tips first for the investigators to follow up on. They have re-interviewed some of the folks we've interviewed earlier in this investigation to clarify information. Sometimes when new information comes forward, the people that we've spoken to beforehand may have new insight on that. So it does often seem like we're backtracking, but we're really just trying to get the most important details and the best timeline that we can come up with. We have literally an army of analysts who have been sorting through videos that have been submitted.
Well, that's interesting, because I'm just looking at right here. It says the Idaho State Police delivered the DNA from the knife sheath to Othram Labs on November 22nd. Man, that's crazy. That's way back then. That's like right over here. And again, that's another date that Kohberger did something. He navigated pages related to the deletion of account activity. So you got 11, 22, 20, 22. Don't know the time. Othram Labs was given DNA from knife sheath for IgG. Right, okay, now, when did Othram Labs transfer the DNA to the DNA from sheath to the FBI? Othram Labs stopped working on the Brian Kohberger case and transferred the DNA data they had collected from the knife sheath to the Idaho State Police on December 10th. The FBI then took over the investigation. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Okay, so there we go. So right around in this time frame, 12/10/2022. Let's see. Othram Labs gave Idaho State Police DNA data. Let's just say Othram Labs transferred DNA data to the FBI. There you go. Okay. And then, last question would be, what date did the FBI determine through IgG that Brian Kohberger was the contributor to the DNA on the knife sheath? And that turns, well, it says Idaho State Police delivered the knife sheath sample to Houston-based Othram Lab. You guys said it's the 19th, but I'm just trying to verify. The defense seems to think December 19th was the date that IgG identified Brian Kohberger. The state has identified Mr. Kohberger on December 19th through investigative genetic genealogy. The state has obtained aerial photographs of the Kohberger residence on December 21st. I don't know. I thought it was around the 15th Isn't it in those documents somewhere? So Lolo up there, if I said it wrong earlier, I apologize if I didn't word it, my question correctly. I just know in my head what I was looking for. I kind of easily said it wrong. Let's see. What date did the FBI identify Kohberger's DNA? Yeah, so that does say that. It says the FBI identified Brian Kohberger's DNA as a potential match to evidence found at the scene of the Idaho student murders on December 19th. This identification was a result of investigative genetic genealogy. Okay, so that is, I just wanted to verify that that was. So there you go. We got, man, I didn't realize it was that far back. Did you guys know that? That it was all the way back and clear back in like November 22nd. That the Othram Labs had already received, I mean, they were on, I mean, 9 days after the homicides, they'd already received a sequence to identify. That's pretty crazy. I did, Gray. I really did. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So on the 22nd, Othram Labs was given the DNA from the knife sheath for IgG. It was taking them too long. I mean, you can already tell because on December 10th, which is right here, Othram Labs transferred the DNA to the FBI because they hadn't, weren't able to do anything with it. And then just 9 days later, the FBI, using what Othram had already developed, and then their techniques that they were using, made it much quicker. So they got it on the 19th. We need 13 more channel memberships gifted just to reach the old school low end of the goal. Yeah, well, I think I might have, if I worded it wrong, Lolo, I'm sorry. I'm just, But see if we can do 13 channel memberships. That would be awesome. All right, we got that. So that was on that last video. So now we kind of think in our heads here. See, here's what's interesting is that, so this is like, a press release on the 12th. So they already know the FBI they're doing investigative genetic genealogy. Regarding the safety of the public, let me just see if there's any. I don't think this is even valuable, that one. All right, now this is on the 13th here. I think we were already playing that.
The FBI.
Talk about the first time you heard about what happened.
The FBI has some experience in those areas, and they were very, very, and that's okay, but when you're working collectively, you have to put a system in place that starts information flowing, and you can handle it in a logical manner. So fortunately, the FBI has some experience in those areas, and they were very, very good at helping us set up their virtual command post.
Well, thanks, Lolo.
And then once
thanks for making me go look at it
became
again.
a very, very systematic method of processing
team effort
that was coming in.
Can you sum up the last month in terms of the investigation?
I don't get it, Mr. Z.
Yeah, a lot of emotional highs and lows, but
feeling the highs and I'm feeling the lows.
Teamwork.
The beat starts getting into your toes. You start popping your fingers and stamping your feet and moving your body while you're sitting.
The number of people that are involved, not just here in Moscow, but investigative and interview teams in the northern part of Idaho, the southern part of Idaho,
we know. Michelle,
the eastern part of Idaho, resources from the Salt Lake City FBI office, the Orleans FBI office, analysts back in Virginia, and the number of people that
Thanks,
have
wise child. 12 more, you guys. 12 more.
To just lend their specialty to this investigation. We have the FBI's command post in our parking lot. and we've hooked them up to Wi-Fi, and everything that they would normally do down in Salt Lake City, they're doing right here in our parking lot. So the team effort has been amazing. It's been overwhelming at times, but there are so many people with so much expertise. Somebody always steps up and takes the role that needs to be filled.
What role has speculation, rumors, and the conversations on social media play in the investigation?
Yeah, that has been by far the most frustrating part of this. We've always closely guarded the information that we've discovered at the scene and our investigative information, because we want to protect the integrity of this investigation.
No.
And just look at social media and the rumors that fly out there.
Yeah, but look in the mirror. You guys are the ones that cause all the rumors by not giving enough information.
A small piece of information that has speculation added to it just takes its own life on the internet and starts
12
rumors.
more
and then
memberships,
we
you
find
guys.
ourselves not only tracking those rumors down and trying to quell them, but also we see our tips that come in are geared more toward the rumor, not the facts that have been put out. And the really unfortunate part of it is the effect that it's had on the victims' families, on the college students and friends of the victims, some of whom have had death threats, and constant harassment by various media outlets. So it's been devastating in some ways. In many ways, it just re-victimizes folks who have already suffered this terrible trauma.
What is next for this investigation?
Well, this investigation is not cold. We get tips every day that are viable. We get dozens and dozens of tips. We sort through them, we prioritize them, and for sure, some of them are not good tips. They're not even relevant to the case. But every single day, we get a good amount of viable tips.
Okay. All right, got that one. And then on the 13th, so this is in between Othram Labs and then Kohberger being on a trip. Isn't that crazy? So that, like, I mean, Othram Labs just got the DNA, and then, yeah, hold on a second. How does that make sense? Why are they following Kohberger if... Yeah, that doesn't make any sense, you guys. I think on the 15th they got the name. I don't believe, I've heard that date. I don't think 12/19 is correct. That doesn't make any sense. Because without the FBI, they don't even know who Kohberger is. And they already knew who he was when he was driving home. Do you guys remember that? On the 15th he took off. They already knew that. So how is it then his name gets identified on the 19th? You follow me here? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. I think my thought was it was 12/15 on December 15th when the FBI identified that. I hope you guys are paying attention. It always seems like I say something and you guys are talking about something else. It might be the delay that we have. Did the... Ah. See, now it's kind of confusing there, right? You guys. And we need 12 more channel memberships gifted. Any chance of that happening tonight, or are we just done? Again. Let's see. So, when he was driving home, don't you remember? The FBI was already aware of him. And when he got pulled over, certainly they were already following him. But why were you following him if he wasn't identified via IGG until 12/19? He's already home on the 16th. I mean, he made it all the way home on the 16th. So the identity must have been much sooner than that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, it is pretty interesting, isn't it? December 15th. I think this is the date that he was identified. I remember in these documentaries you hear these different dates. I don't know. Investigators are sorting through. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. We've all heard, right, that he was identified through IGG, like just as, like, you know, when the tip came in, it was like when he was driving back, right before that, right? So if they identified him on the 19th, it doesn't make sense at all. Oh, yeah, maybe that's it, Wise Child. Yeah, maybe you're right on that. Maybe they identified him before and then had people track him, and then later was like, hey. Yeah, no, if you just look at the timeline, it's 12:15. He's on a trip back to Pullman. 12:16, arrives at his parents' house. 12:19 is identified. Well, then how the hell were you tracking him? His name wasn't even known by a soul before that. So there's something's off here, but I can see how that might make sense up there. But I could really use you guys all kind of rallying together to get to those 12 channel memberships, or $60 total, just so we can get to a low end of the lowest end of a goal. There is no, I won't be donating 5 memberships or anything. That's like, knew the boy was guilty, but she used his case to stay in the spotlight. Yeah, I think she definitely used it for gaining notoriety. I mean, who doesn't know who Ann Taylor is at this point? Other than, I guess, if you were somebody that shops at the Ann Taylor store, you might be confused. I don't know if that's what they're wondering. Is that what they're wondering about? Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be that the FBI already had, like they was just set up above, that they started tracking him. I mean, I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to figure this out. That is sort of an interesting kind of like, what date did they really come up with the name Kohberger? I had heard, I thought, in some of these books or Dateline or something, like it was 12:15. That's what I thought in my head, which actually makes sense if that's the same date that he's leaving, that they go, okay, make sure to track that guy. Yeah, nothing on that one. Then the 16th. He's already driving back home at this point. After sorting through the majority of the digital content gathered from critical cameras during crucial time before and after the homicides took place, investigators continue to comb through hours and hours of digital content. Investigators continue to ask the public for additional help in searching for a white... See, that's crazy. So that means Moscow Police Department on the 16th is totally out of the loop on this. They don't know anything. Kohberger's already driving. That's their home right here. I mean, they're back in Pennsylvania when this is happening. This thing right here. And let's see, on the 19th, this is when the FBI would have already told them. The number of tips, does it say, progress continues to be made in finding information about a white 2000. Progress continues to be made. So this is probably a slight little hint that they've got the guy, Brian Kohberger, and he drives a white Elantra. So the investigators continue to believe the occupants of the vehicle may have critical information to share regarding this case. Occupant, or with an S? I don't know, man. And the 20th, certainly they would have known something. Here, let's read these.
Press release Moscow homicide, updated December 20th, 2022. There have been numerous questions about leadership in this investigation. Let me be clear. This is the Moscow Police Department's investigation, and I am the chief of police. The decisions are mine, and mine alone. I have an excellent command staff, with over 90 years of combined experience, overseeing the investigation's daily operation, and I select who runs the investigative teams, said Moscow Police Chief James Fry. We are supported by highly trained and experienced personnel from the Idaho State Police and the FBI. Their continued resources and knowledge are vital to our success. Our investigative units work under a unified structure and have the autonomy to move forward and solve this case. Despite statements about my team, we remain focused on solving the murder of 4 students to seek justice for them, their families, and to help our community heal. Investigators continue processing and working through more than 7,650 emailed tips, 4,313 phone tips, 4,583 digital media submissions, and have conducted over 250 interviews. Investigators believe someone has information that adds context to what occurred on the night of the murders. Investigators are aware of a Hyundai Elantra located in Eugene, Oregon. We are working with the local jurisdiction to determine if the vehicle is related to our case.
What are they doing? I mean, this is confusing to me. On December 20th, you're still looking around at random Elantras when you know that, are you just doing this as a ruse? And you know, sort of answering their questions, and and you already know that the name Brian Kohberger is out there. I think there's going to be new information that comes out at a certain point that gives us real information about this timing here. Man, why is it so difficult in here tonight to, lately when I say, hey, everybody, if we could try to get those 12 channel memberships, it's just like pulling teeth. It's really disappointing. And didn't give a damn about a firing squad. You people are still stuck. The only reason that boy confessed was, Jesus, you're an idiot. Get out of here. Let's see. Press release. The Moscow Police Department is providing the following information to update the public on the known facts surrounding the murders. This is on the 27th, 2 days before he's arrested. Or 3 days, right? Kohberger Central in here. At the time of the investigation, detectives do not believe the female associate professor and chair of the history department of the University of Idaho suing a TikTok user for defamation is involved in the crime. Shit. Yeah, that case is still going forward. There have been numerous inquiries from members of the public and media to verify digital media published online. Any picture or video provided through the official public records request process is authentic. However, once a record is released, we can no longer verify its authenticity. Investigators believe someone has information that adds context to what occurred on the night of the murders. What are you talking about? Right, so this is a day before. Now let's see, this is Fry. What's he looked giddy.
I'd like to give a quick update.
See, in this thing, he seemed kind of giddy, So that means they've already pulled the trash on the 27th, and it matched the biological father. At Kohberger's house, it matched the biological father of the contributor to the knife sheath. Now he's giving he's talking to the media 2 days after that, and he would know the answer that was happening. So that's probably why he's smiling.
To the community. Starting Friday morning, we are going to be bringing in a professional cleaning crew to go to the residents and begin cleaning. Part of the reason we're doing that is because of the bio.
Yeah, I knew that guy was. These guys are trolls in here. No, I'm in here. You know what I'm in here to do? I'm in here to cover true crime, but I'm also here to try to keep my channel, allowing it to survive and to be able to continue to donate the thousands of dollars that we've been doing over the years. If that isn't something that's still possible because people aren't willing to support the channel anymore, well, that sucks. You know, I mean, it just does. I don't know what else to tell you.
Hazards, as well as chemicals that were used during the investigation. So there will be activity over at that residence on King Road, and we just want people to know about that. I'd like to update everybody on the amount of tips that we've received. Number one, because we've received a lot more tips here recently, and we're continuing to investigate those and follow up on those. We've received over 19,650 tips. Email-wise, 9,025 of those have come in. Phone-wise, 4,575, and we've received over 6,050 digital tips. We want to thank the community for all their help and thank everybody across the nation for the help that they've given us.
Yeah.
To investigate those and follow up on those. We've received over 19,650 tips. Email-wise.
But right now, you know, right now, when he's doing this interview, he knows. Hey, thanks, Dixie Hippie. When he's doing this interview right now, he knows that they've already identified a, you know, Brian Kohberger, and that they pulled the trash, and it was the father of the contributor to the knife sheath. He already knows that. And then here's their 29th. On Friday morning, December 30th, the 1122 King Road residence will remain an active crime scene under police control. However, Moscow Police has worked with Team Idaho Property Management Service to begin remediation of the residence by a private company. Yeah, it's like became a hazard after a while. Who's Michelle? Thank you, Harry, me boy. Very kind, very kind. Now we just need 11 more of those, you guys. 11 more. Not likely. Not likely. Let's see. Look, they're still talking about progress is being made on the Elantra. Yeah, sure. And then we get this one the same day, the next day, actually.
Thank you for coming today. Last night, in conjunction with the Pennsylvania State Police, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, detectives arrested 28-year-old Brian Christopher Kohberger in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, on a warrant for murders of Ethan, Zana, Madison, and Kaylee. I want to personally thank these agencies for their assistance in this case. Kohberger resides in Pullman, Washington, and is a graduate student at Washington State University. We will provide as much information as we can about the extradition to Idaho and the criminal process. However, due to Idaho state law, we are limited in what information we can release today until Kohberger has his initial appearance in Idaho court. I want to express my appreciation to our local community, the people of Idaho, and those throughout our nation who provided information to help us investigate these murders has been very impressive. We've received over 19,000 tips, and we've conducted over 300 interviews. To recap this case, on the evening of November 12th, Kaylee and Madison arrived home at about 1:56 a.m. after visiting a local bar and street food vendor. Ethan and Zana were at the Sigma Chi house before arriving home around 1:45 a.m. The two surviving roommates had also been in the community but returned around 1 a.m. On the morning of November 13th, a 911 call was made at 11:58 a.m. reporting an unconscious person at the residence. The call came from inside the home from one of the surviving roommates' cell phones. Moscow police responded and found 2 victims on the 2nd floor and 2 victims on the 3rd floor. On November 17th, autopsies were conducted and the Latah County coroner confirmed the identity of the 4 victims. The cause and manner of death was homicide by stabbing. Some had defensive wounds, and each had been stabbed multiple times. These murders have shaken our community, and no arrest will ever bring back these young students. However, we do believe justice will be found through the criminal process. This was a very complex and extensive case. We developed a clear picture over time, and we stand assured that the work is not done, but be assured the work is not done. This has just started. Since November, we have remained laser focused on pursuing every lead in our pursuit of justice for the victims and their families. I recognize the frustration with the lack of information that's been released. However, providing any details in this criminal investigation might have tainted the upcoming criminal prosecution or alerted the suspect of our progress. We will continue to provide as much information as we can as the process moves forward. Today, I want to specifically thank our dedicated Moscow Police Department detectives, patrol officers, the Idaho State detectives, the Idaho State troopers, and their crime lab technicians and scientists, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation for the resources and personnel to conduct this massive investigation. It was the dedication of them and the persistence and the numerous hours that led to an arrest. Fortunately, these highly skilled people worked together as a cohesive team to solve this case. I also want to thank our community and the nation. Over the past 6 weeks, I've been continually reminded of how much our community cares. Locally, public support has been exceptional with kind words, food for investigators, and letters of support. You will never know how much your words of encouragement help us through these trying times. I appreciate each of you and each of your kindness. Agencies and individuals from across the nation have reached out to us to express their support to this department. I'm reminded how our Moscow community, our families, and the nation has been impacted by this daily. Finally, I do want to thank our media partners for the help. You kept this in the news, you helped us with tips, you kept things going, and we truly appreciate that. And you are the product of those 19,000 tips that we received, which is an impressive number. I would like to invite Bill Thompson, the county prosecutor, up at this time.
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Bill Thompson. I'm the Latah County prosecutor. And it's sad to be here, but happy to be here at the same time. As Chief Fry indicated, a criminal complaint was filed yesterday here in Latah County, charging the defendant, Mr. Kohberger, with 4 counts of first-degree murder, in addition to felony burglary, which involves entering the residence with the intent to commit the crime of murder. Mr. Kohberger, and let me preface, there is a pending case now in court, and I and my office and the investigators have to live with the restrictions that our Supreme Court places on pretrial publicity. That said, I promise you we will share with you through the court process or otherwise whatever we are allowed to. I just appreciate your patience on that. The factual basis for the charges are summarized in what's called a probable cause affidavit that is on file with the court. According to the rules of the Idaho Supreme Court, that is sealed until Mr. Kohberger is physically back in Latah County and has been served with the Idaho arrest warrant. At that time, we expect that that affidavit will be available to you so you can share the true facts with all of your readers and your watchers and your listeners and all of the people who are interested and really need to know what's going on. So please have patience with us on that. We hope to get that to you as soon as we can. As far as Mr. Kohberger, I can share with you that he is a graduate student at Washington State University and has an apartment residence over at Pullman. He has had an initial appearance in front of a judge in Pennsylvania. He is being held without bond, and the warrant from our magistrate judge here also provides for no bond. We understand that he's scheduled to be back.
So anyways, there you go. And then they basically right here, that's when the third is the non-dissemination order, and nobody got to hear anything until the probable cause came out. But anyways, I thought it was an interesting show. Apparently not. So let's see. Thank you to Gloria Batari, became a new member too. Alley Cake, Joseph Brennan, Dixie Hippie, Richard Watts, Kimmers 808, Jessica Schubach, Alan McMahon gifted 5, Shomo 524, Kimmers, Dixie Hippie, Ashley Yeager, Ralph K. David, Michelle H., Dixie Hippie, Sandy Shirley, Lil D, Wise Child, Dixie Hippie, and Harry Me Boy, who's pumping other channels. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Yeah, I don't care, man. I don't really care about who that guy is. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys later. And as we always say, until next time, be safe out there. I'm not sure how many more be safe out there's we're going to have. But have a good one.
Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person.
Oh, and thanks to the coffees, as I said earlier.
Crime dissector, plug rejector, I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Gragel's gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector. Fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temper fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody? Talk to you later.
Yeah, also say thank you to, let's see, we got Judy, Christine, and Lisa Valenzuela for the coffees. I don't know, you just kept bringing up the same person. They're just a YouTuber, just like everybody else. So, you know, it makes people go, ooh, he's probably one of those sensationalistic jackasses, you know? Nobody cares. All right, thanks, everybody. Be safe.